Alright, fantastic. Oh, I'm gonna regret this.
Are you
Why are you so quiet? You are not quiet.
That's an excellent question. I actually don't know why I'm quiet.
You're not that quiet. It's just relative to the music that I have on that's louder than usual.
Is it a
You are
bop?
quiet. You know... Yeah, Milky Way by Boris Brejcha? It's not bad. It's a very good ambient track. Oh, God.
It's pretty thematic.
You know, it is. Did my brain on 4 hours of sleep catch how thematic it was? No.
Yes.
No, I did not.
No, you
okay.
definitely did. It's your subconscious intelligence.
What are we are sharing our screen. Yes, we are doing that. We are going to screens. We're going to screen 1. I am not streaming system. Streaming system audio doesn't also stream Discord audio, right? So you wouldn't be getting echoes. I'm gonna assume I'm right about that. You can have system audio. Go live.
I genuinely do not know.
Yep, me neither. I do not watch streams on here, and
testing,
I do not like streaming on here.
Okay, I don't hear myself echoing back,
Right.
so I think these are good.
We have to have Twitch chat up so I can actually see that. Delightful. What's the purpose of watching this on Twitch instead of just on this? Why we gotta be asking questions? Oh God. Okay, we're starting in the US tab, and then we're just moving right until the will to live leaves my body, which probably won't be as long as I think. But I've been putting this off, so.
I don't know if there have even been that many new name submissions.
There were. Not in the US. Yesterday I added quite a few, and I know that other people did as well. Where the fuck are those rivers? Where the frick are those rivers? I folded them all into national parks, didn't I? I did see a pudding cat. Yep, that's what I did. Nature, plants, animals, swimstream. Chimarron, River of the Wild Sheep, is part of the Santa Fe Trail, but this doesn't have a national park associated with it. Right? Am I crazy? There's one in Washington. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay, maybe not. Alright, so it goes on the other bounty. Cool. Delete row. And Derecho, widespread along-lived straight-line windstorms endemic to the Midwest and the eastern United States. Not nature, but not national parks either, but oh, this apotheosis, there we go, that's what we're talking about. Trade? Because that's where windfall is. Bodies of water, spaceflight travel, yeah, I guess up here instead. Derecho. I lived in the East Coast and Midwest for a long time, but I have never heard that fucking word before, so is it a good one? No.
You heard all the names.
Wait, Nami got hit by a Bundeswehr ad on the Twitch stream?
On your Twitch stream,
That's
the army wants me.
Hilarious.
Alex is recruiting for the Bundeswehr.
Yes, it's true. Alex is an army recruiter for the Germans.
For the Bundeswehr specifically. It's a very...
Listen, they tried to get me by telling me that I could be a Panzer Grenadier. And that says a lot about...
fucking funny. Twitch
it really
is
came
such
out of
a
left
fucking
field.
cursed website.
Yeah.
Also,
mean,
you shouldn't be getting hit with the pre-rolls on Twitch
pre-roll.
are because I just started streaming. So after 20 seconds from now, there shouldn't be ads for another hour. They're not pre-rolls, they're stream pre-rolls.
Yeah. Well, it was something.
So you signing up? What
Listen, I can't imagine doing anything more fun than driving around a martyr. Okay, it's a martyr. I don't know what our IFV even is.
The martyr, yeah.
Yeah. I have new headphones on, and with these headphones, I can't hear myself anymore like I did before.
Oh
is
yeah,
weird.
that takes a while to get used to, right? They're
Because
noise canceling headphones.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's
that drove me
specifically-
fucking crazy
Yeah.
when I got these.
So I am probably speaking much louder than I have before.
You
And I
sound
don't-
about the same. It's
That is
just the
very
lack
funny.
of background sound that's making you feel like, oh god, all I can hear is my own voice reverberating through my skull. My voice sounds different. Everything sounds wrong.
Well, all right.
I was like, wait a minute. I was like, the full name is the Schützenpanzer, and I was like, what the fuck is Schützenpanzer? And it's they're just
That is an-
infantry tank.
That is an infantry fighting vehicle. Yes.
Yeah, infantry vehicle. The Schützen refers to infantry. Yeah.
Shoots
Well-
in the panzer and it explodes.
Technically, Schützen specifically refers to marksman because the German word for infantry is Infanterie.
Ah.
Which is coming from.
Yes,
probably
it is the French word.
The French, man.
Yeah.
Their language is everywhere.
I mean,
Anyway,
France had a period where they, had some top-down influence on a lot of Europe. And other
Reason that the
places.
term, there's a reason the term is lingua franca.
Well, actually, lingua franca comes from, the trade languages in the Mediterranean that, those traders used there, not France directly. Yeah.
And there's a lot of
There is
loanwords
some-
from
yeah,
France
some-
in Germanic languages.
Well, I mean, English is at least 10% that.
English is a
English is having like half of these words coming from roots of French or Latin, and the Latin part is from French too. So yes.
I mean, other way around, but yeah. French did not come before Latin, I think.
No. I mean the Latin word in English are coming from
Oh,
the French by the population they were in.
oh, I see. So I see.
mhm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I am sorry if I.
No,
if
that
my-
makes much more sense. I misunderstood.
No, the French is evolution of Latin, like Italian or Spanish is just in other direction.
The direction of more vowels.
What the fuck is a rainbow? Where the hell does rainbow go? Is it an idea? Is it a concept? Yeah, I
I
think
made
it's an idea.
one suggestion for now for word for stars, and I hope making more. But because I'm in vacation right now, it's not until some time.
That's
That's fair. I
Don't worry,
have no
we were-
idea what we're doing after we're done with the United States, so I mean, looking at the map, it's not that likely to be France, right?
It will take at least a few more months before we get to France.
Don't,
No, we're gonna jump
don't
directly.
fucking
want to be,
put that
I
evil on me.
want to be able to do some good suggestions.
We're gonna jump directly to France.
I think
Um,
the smart money is that we're moving into the Pacific.
Yeah,
States.
That's where you think it'll go, which is exactly why Mark's bamboozled us all.
If he
Like going
fucking
to a
zags and we jump into
He's gonna
Germany,
go.
I'm gonna be
We're-
pissed.
He's gonna
we're
go to
going-
the Tannhauser Gate because he feels like it.
Yeah, because the Tannhauser sounds so cool, and I don't know.
I will actually be mad if he zags and it's like, all right, here's a region we have no names for.
Oh, what's the
Gonna-
YouTube suggestions? Oh,
No,
let
here's-
me-
here's-
let's-
hit well, great, yeah.
He's gonna what he's gonna do actually is on stream he's gonna reveal the Japan sector and say, "All right, guys, we're doing Japan stars today."
like,
Anime names.
Seriously?
Nothing
Like,
but anime
I'm
names.
just saying that
Kamikaze's gonna be suggested.
pipe
What
bombs.
else?
No, there's going to be so many things bad.
Tokugawa.
Like, what
What else are they gonna pick? They being YouTube chat.
Yeah. Like the second we get to like a major nation that does not use the Latin alphabet, I'm sorry, name quality will drop significantly. I know we're probably going to use romanizations of the names like we have done for like Chinese names, but it will still be a significant drop compared to
The most useful
no.
thing for those things would be like in Japan, where I'm not right now. You have the characters for the name, and under it you have the romanization for it.
Yeah, we're just going to have the Latin or the romanization for it, for the map. For the wiki is probably where we will have things in other non-Latin alphabets like Cyrillic, or we'll have things in actual characters. But
Yeah, so that's
for the map, it's
understandable.
just too visually busy for us to have too much text on there. I've had long conversations about this. The first thing I talked about with Mark when I got onboarded was, okay, we need some guidelines for our style guides, and I wrote up some style guides that are mostly still up to date that I might need to update about how we name things and like what the character limits are and stuff, and how much size we want to allocate per word and yada yada.
Yeah. Oh, is there a guideline for name specifically, or it's just whatever nationwide thing?
So in we have the good name qualities tab, but this is mostly generic advice. With specific bounties like the United States, this whole upper paragraph will be specific notes of what we're looking for. We don't have that right now with any of these
Other nations?
other nations, because I don't know. We haven't gotten there yet, and we haven't sat down and outlined like the themes for hundreds of nations ahead of time. We're just doing them as we're actively working on them.
Not the
So,
problem. But just,
yeah.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I just have these open right now so that folks can go ahead and submit stuff, get the ball rolling, and we have more to pull from, because it just seemed like a good idea at the time, and now going through everything, I'm like, well, I have a lot of options at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the theming of the US also should generally relate to how the US will like have evolved into the time, and when that rough outline has happened for the other nations, then it would be much easier to see, right, what kind of things would realistically be like not venerated, I think, that, or like, you know, respected for star names.
That's what I was talking about a bit earlier, because I want to help of the best of my abilities for understanding French history, probable thing, depending on what you choose, what DOV choose to represent France as, and what should probably have happened if this or this happened. But the problem is, because I don't have the theme of what France will be, I'm very lost in what I can propose right now.
Yeah, totally. That makes sense. we have, and Marcus talked about this a little bit with the world building streams, that we have talked about, and we're looking into criteria for like specific advisors when it comes to languages we don't speak, or countries that we're not from, or histories that we recognize that we might want more context on. But we're still looking at the specifics of how we want to handle that and how we want to divvy up that workload. So we don't have a formal, we don't know. We don't have an application process at all right now.
And I'm not asking for a formal position or anything. I just really wish I can be of help.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally understand. It doesn't sound like you're fishing or anything like that. Honestly, the best you can do right now is just engage on the Discord in the various channels and talk about stuff or bring up ideas, write fan lore, or fan lore is the place to really go crazy.
I'm in the RP and I'm trying things.
I mean,
I'm trying things, and I'm quite enjoying it. Anyway.
Yeah, I have to say that like we have like strictly the rule that RP stays in RP and stuff. But I have to say, even I find it interesting to like try out headcanons with like in the context of the RP, like to just gauge some things. It's a good environment for that if you know what you're doing. But I hope, you know, if you're like researched on our topic, that works.
Yeah. But yeah, because I love my country, and France's history is quite extensive.
Yeah, I know. People were talking in the context of Southeast Asia, I think Indonesia particularly, in the general chat, talking about how nice it is to see that their nation isn't being sidelined or written out. And yeah, you know, the hope is to have a lot of depth wherever possible, but you know, for the time being, it's a little difficult.
Yeah, well, no, surely we'll get her way. I hope.
Yeah, it's just there's some people that should not be over like written off, like for example the game.
For example, sorry, please repeat your example.
For there's some people in the like history of around the time of DOV point of divergence that should not be like forgotten about. Especially like people like the Goal are very important people, and I cannot understate it because we never had but like someone understanding France better than he did, and I could explain in a lot of a text why, but I'm not going to do that for time. But there is some people like that, or for example Dassault, but he wasn't named Dassault at the time. He was a plane engineer, and probably we would have some kind of legacy to his work later, even today in modern DOV, I think. But those people like those people would be interesting to trace what they did to the nation. But except that, there's much to explain and think about. Yeah.
The one thing about like people star names is that they are not entirely avoidable, but if you look at the US, you can see that people for star names have been deliberately kept to a minimum, and it's always, you know.
Yeah, I think we have too many right now.
I didn't mean I didn't mean the name of the guy's
He just
in
meant
term
in
of-
general.
In general, oh yeah, of course.
Oh, I mean, in the history of France in general, like
Mhm.
not in specific for star system names.
That
Like-
makes yeah, that is for sure the case. Like
Yeah,
uh,
but like I see so often France being written off, or just like yes, there existed point. they existed. End of the line point. Okay, next.
yeah, it's
Then it's sad. Like when you have a fucking. I mean, we can take a good example. BF1, like Battlefield 1. You start, and not even once in the campaign you see a Frenchman. What?
yeah, for World War One that is weird, so to say.
What? What? Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. France
Yeah,
sometimes gets like, I don't know, not even sometimes, commonly gets just like, oh, it's part of the American sphere, but slightly different, and doesn't exactly go its way, which is, well, reductionist in a big sense.
Yeah,
Ah.
one of the more interesting things is trying to figure out how to represent so many different nations and cultures and peoples in unique ways that aren't caricatures, that aren't stereotypes, that aren't ridiculous. And that's-
Yeah, I get you. And I'm not saying it would be easy.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. I'm glad that that's not my focus.
No. And I work. And when I say I wish for to be of help, it's very like I know that the work is going to be hard because there is going to be a lot of it, but I really do love the fact that everyone have at least a bit of representation, a bit of okay, I can trace myself somewhere inside this. I can be like, okay, maybe I would be there, maybe I would be here, but my culture or the history of my people is not forgotten in some like random place in the world.
Yeah.
Like, that's very impressive for the setting you're trying to make everyone. So yeah.
I do want to again say that talking in like the OTO oh, I'm dying. The OTO, not in roleplay, because I'm pretty sure Mark doesn't read that, but talking in like the Dawn of Victory channel OTO up there, Mark and I read pretty much everything that people post and talk about. So if there's a topic or a subject you want people to start talking about and thinking about it, being an example and saying, I'm really curious about France. Here's some thoughts I have about like really important people at the point of departure. I wonder what happened to this person or that person, or I really am excited to see how this, that, or whatever else is included or talked about. That's a good way to at least get that conversation started.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be for something more. I would not say not important. I would say like less focused on politics and diplomacy, because that's going to be a point of very scrambling, divergent ideas, even from French people. I think my first question would be something like around the idea of what would, for example, the French ship production of spaceships and space fighters, for example, would be, because like we have a very competitive production now with Dassault or French shipyards in real life. If we expand this idea further, we could expect something like a great military complex for France further down the line.
I looking at like the 1930s and looking at the 1940s and Dawn of Victory, it's really hard to figure out how things went when we haven't shared like what went on with the Synfaxi, what went on with the first Synfaxi war, like who got wiped out, how did history change, and then jumping all the way to the year 200.
Yeah, exactly.
2285. There's a big gap in there, and I absolutely understand how it's like, well, I don't even know where to start, because I know it's France, but like, what does that even mean? 200 years separated from now, and 350 years separated from the point of departure. Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns.
I completely understand the idea of what is going on and what is thing. We could do in history, like, if I can get an idea of what the history is, we could do something like try to do something to not do the same as history, but like not copying history, but doing something like similar-ish.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
It's not the same the same action, but you have some resemblance between histories, or we could do something completely different.
The phrase that Mark uses to describe what you're talking about is rhyming but not repeating.
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of idea I have. Oh, by the way, you have to realize also that in the 1930s, on the point of divergence, France would have been one of the first very major nation to have been touched by the Syntaxi. It would be one of the first, because if I understood well where the Syntaxi started, the overgrowth, I think is the name for it.
Outgrowth. Yeah.
Outgrowth. Sorry.
It's a nonsense word. You're fine.
Yeah. The outgrowth. You have Indochina, which is just next to it. And Indochina was a very large colony of French governance at the time.
Yeah, there's a mention of the Synfaxi first being observed. Keyword, I'm gonna go look at it on the wiki so I don't misquote this, but the phrasing here is very important. An unknown substance is first observed by American researchers. That doesn't mean that the Philippine Islands is where the Synfaxi virus started. That doesn't mean it's the only place where it was. It just means the place where it is first observed. This is just where humanity becomes aware of it. So, importantly, a lot of people are like, oh, well, if it started in the Philippines, then it would have spread, like, radially from there. Like, a viral infection, it would have spread from there. Not necessarily. It may be a lot more complicated than that.
If I remember correctly, I know it's Classic, but I remember from Classic, the maps showed the Synfaxi didn't spread out in a circle. They kind of moved in line.
Yes, like
so it wasn't like this
fungal
big
growth.
Yeah, it's not like this big circle that just slowly expands. It's like little strands that are like moving out from wherever they land or appear or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that in the old DOV maps. I think of the USA.
Mhm.
Yeah, where they get from Mexico to direction of. I don't want to miss my foot.
Yeah, this map.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Oh,
have a
that's
lot of
ore.
reference images. So this in particular, you can tell, is really heavily influenced by like mycelial growth,
Yeah.
fungal growth. I think there's
Mycelial
a
growth.
lot to that, and there's also like with this over here some pretty clear influences from like the Command and Conquer series with the Tiberian phenomena or infection. So looking at that as a point of inspiration, I think is maybe safe as well. But I don't know either. I'm looking forward to us getting
I'm
more
very
published
much
because
looking
like
forward to this kind of thing.
yeah,
So,
with the U.S. and Pacific states, it's really important how the Sympaxi work and where this border is, because in old lore, New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana are on the nobody controlled side of the line, and since we're naming things first, and certain names come from certain places, without having a map like this, my job has been much more difficult.
yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
No, because like people all over the world forget that France still have like colony even today.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
we have a history of more than 1,000 years, and and we did kick ass a lot of times.
Yeah.
I'm the product of that.
I think it seems like the way we're representing France is, I think, dignified. A lot more dignified than a lot of other projects. And I'm very appreciative of that. I would not be on this project if this were the kind of thing where it was just like, haha, bunch of American misunderstandings of French culture and history.
Again.
Yeah, I'll say like, out of all the countries, like the countries that are in the OTO have like, for now, until like I am proven otherwise, I think have the safest bet of being like have a safe bet of being represented reasonably well. All of them. It gets more complicated as soon as you go outside of the OTO or like neutral territory. Like, like I'm curious. Like Italy so far in the little we've seen, decent. I'm curious about how like the Soviet, like old SSRs, which are like, you know, one SSR is a country, like it's a big country already, and how all of those plus other Comintern nations, or it's I think it's natural.
I'm just asking myself, for example, for that without getting too much political, how are we going to explain that, for example, Ukraine is either in Germany or USSR? And not
neither. Neither.
by...
Ukraine is independent. Ukraine is up here.
Yeah, Ukraine. I think it's like Ukraine, Poland. Is Belarus also in Mierzy Może?
Look, we don't have a specific list.
Explain that without creating a war in
Well, also isn't Ukraine kind of split? If I remember correctly, Mierzy Może kind of competes with a lot of Soviet SSRs and even Axis states for.
Yeah, it's not on the map right now. It's kind of a mess. I misspelled it. There we go. Competes with the Soviet Union for recognition, successor government to several former Eastern European states. Which Eastern European states? Great question. Great question. We haven't gotten there yet.
I'm gonna go with at least Poland.
Poland and Ukraine, and those are the two that Mark has named and we're absolutely sure about. And then we'll go from there. Bulgaria and Romania? Nope, they're doing their own thing. So probably Hungary's independent and it's doing its own thing. So Yugoslavia can't be involved. So
Probably
Czech
my best-
Republic, Czechia.
Yeah,
I
probably.
certainly hope not. I hope it's more Baltics.
Baltics,
And-
Poland, Belarus, Ukraine, maybe.
I'm hoping that it's just these linguistically, because if we use well, these are the very similar kinds of West Slavic in Czechia, Slovakia, and Poland, so it's not that hard. But once we get down into southern Eastern Europe or southeastern Europe, mixing in Southern Slavic spellings with East or Western Slavic spellings will make me lose my goddamn mind.
Well,
So I
to
really
be
hope we
fair-
don't do that.
To be fair, Alex,
Just
he
so you
already did
know-
mix two countries who have completely different scripts. So
No, but
Well-
it's not impossible. I'm
Yeah,
that
explaining
is
it
one thing to
quick-
consider.
I'm just explaining quickly. I'm a fourth Croatian, so part of Yugoslavia at the time. Croatian and Serb, both language are basically the same. Stay with me on it. Serbian use the Cyrillic text, and Croatian use the Roman one. That's the biggest difference.
There's
The
a
rest
lot
of the
of
language can be understood from a Serbian to a Croatian and from
Yeah.
Croatian to a Serbian.
you can kind of
And that's
similarly say that, like, well, a Portuguese person can understand a lot of Spanish. It's
No.
Eastern.
It's not,
No.
It's not
I know.
like this. It's not like this. It's really like this is both of the language are quote unquote the same,
Mhm.
just not
Except for the
quite
alphabets.
the
Yeah.
same. My grandmother would be pissed about you.
Isn't there something about like the languages having to have like 70% or less what is the word? Interlegibility?
Yeah, I think 70 or 80%, something like that.
How
like
is
if it's
Dutch?
less than yeah.
How does Dutch qualify as a language then?
I
Shut up.
Okay.
Look,
If you speak Dutch, sorry,
The
if you speak English and German,
Insane.
yeah, if you speak English and German, you automatically get Dutch like as a language you can understand fully. You just can't speak it.
it's like a 2-for-1 thing.
It is a, you get one extra bonus language to
Two
understand.
languages, get one free.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
I would say like as someone who knows a little bit of German, I can like read 50% of road signs in the Netherlands.
so Nami, that must mean you should be able to read 100% of them, right?
I mean, yeah, 90.
I mean, you're
I would
Bavarian.
say.
That's the same
Ni-
thing as Dutch.
No, okay. That's the one thing that isn't Dutch. If I was, let's say, if I was from Bremen, then I could confidently say like 95% understanding. That is,
Hmm.
So the question is are the Dutch German or is Bremen Dutch?
well, Bremen, okay, so it's essentially a fuzzy line because we have a
Frisian.
dialect, we have Frisian, we have a dialect that's literally called flat German. And
Mhm.
flat German refers to the parts of Germany that look like the Netherlands look. Flat. And if you get to flat German dialect, it becomes like Dutch gradually. And there are people in German, like de jure territory, that essentially speak something that is closer to Dutch than High German. And yes, our standard German is called High German, because of course it is.
Because you're elves.
Yes, Germany is like elves. We have, the upper Germans, we have the lower Germans, we have High German, and the
And you
flat
have
Germans.
tourist German.
What about
Yes,
the
what
K of
number?
Germans?
So, Lower Germany is in the north, right?
Yes, because it's
Yeah.
flat.
because it's-
the flat part.
Well, it follows the rivers, right?
Well, okay, yes, it follows technically the elevation. So low Germany is in lower elevation, and high Germany is in high elevation because we're close to the mountains. So it also follows the rivers at the same time.
Yeah. Not confusing at all. Trying to learn that for the first time.
I mean, hey, I'm not the one that made all maps look towards the north. Okay.
Yep.
That's
Greeks.
That
for
would be
that?
us.
blame France. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of old Greek maps did as well, right?
No.
I've seen
I
some
think,
Greek.
no, I'm joking. I think it was either the Romans or it was a bit later, and maybe the Brits. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
There-
this could be coincidence.
It's usually our fault.
I know that there are at least 2 Greek maps, or I think technically Ionic maps, that go what we would consider northeast as they're up. So not what we would consider north.
Yeah, this is a fucking reconstruction. And this is what I was thinking of. No, like, I really like... Oh god, it's not gonna be on here, is it? This isn't it. Old medieval maps. Yeah, like this shit. Completely not north-south aligned. Just being completely impossible to figure out where the
here.
hell this is.
This is just silly.
What even is the perspective there?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Perspective? Are you joking? In medieval history?
Chinese maps often oriented around like the Yellow River, which is super cool, and focusing like, okay, well, this is where the people are. Let's put them in the middle, and then like, oh, what's out here, brother? I don't care. We don't need to map the end of the continent. That's beyond the Middle Kingdom. It's this garbage place for garbage people. It's so good.
I like these stories of the Chinese, like looking at the English arriving to them and speaking to them in Latin and asking for silver. Like, yeah, that's what you're going to do because you're just the Roman Empire, bitch.
Do you think that the average planet in DOV would even bother having a non-digital, non-spherical map?
Like flat maps.
Yeah, would they even bother making them?
I think
For propaganda, yeah.
I think non-spherical, certainly. Non-digital, maybe, but like as an art piece rather than a tool.
Well, look, there's
It would depend, I think.
yeah,
I would
you
say
you
flat
would
maps-
have physical maps,
Yeah,
100%, because if your hardware fails and you're in the middle of a war zone, you want to be able to pull something out to orient where the fuck you are relative to the people shooting at you.
Yeah, exactly. And by
Also-
the way, we could have interesting things with like polar, like the polar north is on the equator or things like that on planets. And that would be cool.
There may not even be magnetic fields on a lot of these planets.
Exactly.
They are fucked if that is the case.
Oh no! Trust me, Alex, I know.
We
And
should not be
yes.
living on those planets.
And yes.
I'm just having thoughts of things like that because I read also like a lot of 40k books and I like a lot of the descriptions sometimes. And you have like, how do you say it? When you have a planet which is locked with its star, so the planet doesn't rotate compared to the star.
Tidally locked.
Oh,
So you
tidally
have
locked.
Tidally locked, yes.
No, yeah. So you have just a halo of this is habitable, but you're going to be like always on a sunrise dash sunfall. Sunset,
God.
sorry.
One of those few instances where a flat map would make perfect cartographical sense because you genuinely wouldn't care about most of the planet facing the sun or facing away.
Yeah. Exactly.
that, like, in that planet, there's like just like, what's the term? The rulers that you can expand.
Protractor?
Measuring tape.
Oh, a measuring
Imagine
tape
the
map?
map is just measuring tape.
That's a fun idea. This is a terrible submission.
What?
But
Very
yeah,
religious
there was
figure.
a-
They were canonized as a saint. No citation, no name.
Okay, delete that.
Yeah, you're,
well.
no, I'm just gonna reject it. You are not winning me over with any religious ones. So you gotta make a strong case. Failed. You at least gotta give a citation so I can look it up. Failed. Maybe a note to explain a little bit. No, alright, who did? No, okay, alright. You've done yourself no help.
It was actually the person's ghost who submitted it.
No, they were
Spooky.
so ashamed of their submission that they didn't want their name associated with it.
I'm sure Mary Cross was probably a perfectly reasonable, fine person who has the most generic ass name that isn't showing up in Googling them. So, Mary Cross, yeah, no, I can see how Mary, and plus Cross is just gonna give me a bunch of Catholic stuff. All right.
Yeah.
Chat, everybody say your Hail Marys, bust out those rosaries, let's go.
I was raised Orthodox.
Well,
Hell
it's
for you.
never too late. The Orthodox Church, not confirmed in canon in TOV, but the Pope. By God, we have the Pope.
And only the Pope.
And
no
only
other-
the
Well,
Pope.
that makes sense because I'm pretty sure, like, the Orthodox Church wouldn't have like its own state.
Yeah,
Well,
No,
Not
it
with
would be
that
Russia.
attitude.
I mean,
No, with that attitude, it's so true. I didn't think about that.
I was
no.
so resistant to the idea of giving the Vatican independence at first. But after
still
these
don't like it.
floodgates opened, I'm on the fence about it now. I think we can do it tastefully and we can make it work. But then
the
people
thing is-
raising a big fucking fuss about Khalistan and then spiraling out in non-state actor chat, I think, or no, non-aligned chat, more than anywhere else about like, whoa, Pakistan, it's gotta be a theocracy, or this state's gonna be a theocracy, or like this religion is yada yada. And that one's just like, yeah, this can of worms. Yep, great.
The Vatican being the Catholic Church having its own state makes it makes more sense than any other Christian denomination having their own state, just
Yeah.
because the Catholic Church had an
Somebody-
actual sovereign state much longer than any of the others.
Are
State,
you-
but
Are you telling me, given America's history, that there isn't at least, like, the Mormons trying it, maybe? Or
trying.
I
notably.
will fight tooth and nail to make sure we
Notably
don't have a
trying.
Deseret.
Yeah, well, we
No
made
way in
canon
hell.
POV. Deseret of Victory. Let's go.
Doesn't
Not
have to be a
happening.
bad like
Hard
city
no.
name somewhere, but
If-
no, not like a Mormon
The
theocracy.
Catholic Church is a large enough worldwide institution that we have to at least go, yeah, it exists. Somebody, I think, in the Orion Arm chat in the last couple of weeks was like, why is it just a minor power? It's like such a big, so many people are Catholic, and if you look at yada yada yada, Vaticano's minor power.
I mean, on
No,
that, does
but,
the when they're talking here, like small powers, great powers, is this like hard power generally?
Sure.
God, I assume
Because
not.
I figure that the Holy See
Maybe?
would have, if anything, more soft power. Like more so in the sense that there's a lot of Catholics,
So,
maybe,
So,
but it's probably not like
extensive. It says extensive astropolitical influence, military capabilities, operational reach, diversified economy, robust economy, advanced technological prowess. So, is the Pope gonna be focusing on developing a robust and diversified economy? These are not the papal states, and even those didn't do a good job. No. Tech, I don't see the Catholic Church being the forefront of
No, they are the
technological
tech-
advancement.
I'm
it
going
would be
to
funny.
cite someone I don't really like, but I can at least respect in history. Stalin, the Pope. How many divisions?
Oh,
That's the idea.
Alex, you don't
Fear
see
the
the vision.
Pope. How many divisions?
To what?
I mean, that does raise what I think is the biggest problem with the Vatican being at power at all, and that is population-wise, entirely dependent on immigration. Like,
Not
you know,
first, probably, but
You're
could
forgetting the like 7 priests.
theoretically having some kind of population growth over time.
Oh, let's not get into population growth projections. People were losing their damn minds when they were trying to math it out.
I mean, I
Well,
was one
don't
of those
say
people. I mathed it out a lot.
Yeah, don't do it. Keep it abstract. Trust me. If we want
don't think
to,
about it too.
So I will. Can we talk about the RP briefly here?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up?
I had an idea. So I kind of suggested that the Axis might do like a weekly or monthly kind of news bulletin type thing, and I basically brainstormed a whole bunch of ideas of like, what would be important to Axis news. And one of the items, not high on the list, but one of the items on the list is basically like the annual Axis Nation Birth Leaderboard. So like, who has had the greatest population growth this year?
Oh no.
That would be
That would make so much sense, but it's so wrong.
Okay, gamers, who's on top of the breeding board this month?
it would be very like in character for
That's
fascists.
the point. And
Yeah.
then to top it all off, putting it alongside correct, maybe incorrect, who knows, average figures for other powers.
That is definitely interesting, conceptually.
Let's see who had the most kids.
This is why I really feel like I need to just, run anything I want to do by like a mod on the roleplay. I'm just kinda like, I'm gonna fuck something up eventually.
No. I think as far as the Axis faction and the roleplay goes, you're the most respectful, or one of the more respectful people approaching it. I don't want to throw everybody else under the bus, but you're being very thoughtful about it. Like, I was joking with Nami weeks ago at this point about the personnel submissions. Your personnel submissions were immediately like, oh, red flag, and then reading through going, wait a minute, he knows it's a red flag. He's being thoughtful about, wait, hold on. Somebody actually following the fucking instructions and doing research and thinking things through and trying to be respectful and like insightful about it? What?
I have to say, out of everything in the RP, I have been positively surprised by how Axis characters have looked so far. People have taken the warning of these are the most complicated characters seriously. So I will commend that very much.
No,
I'm just gonna say, you think about fascism a lot is a weird compliment, but I'm going to take it.
Listen, I have.
We have notified the authorities.
I have 12 years of German schooling behind me. I had to think about fascism for 4 of them to get good grades. So it's fine.
Yeah, I'd rather not talk about fascism in my secondary schooling, personally.
Well,
I was mischaracterized, which is to say, people needed any reason to bully me, and calling me a fascist was definitely one for a while.
That's wild. Okay, I won't get into it, but I'll just say that's wild as a bullying thing.
I mean, I'm just gonna say, like, I was bullied for being gay. I'm not gay. Like, none of this was true. It was just easy.
It do
Okay,
be
fine.
like
Anyway, yeah.
So,
Like,
to be clear, you're a
general-
gay fascist. Is that what I'm understanding?
that.
Is that what I'm understanding here?
Yeah, have you not read the pink swastika?
Oh, so, I forgot about that.
What?
Yes, Slim, is this you?
It's the wildest conspiracy
Oh,
theory
no.
book in the world. It's the conspiracy that the Nazis were so evil because they were gay.
Sorry, I can. No.
I
no.
believe that somebody believes that.
I believe that somebody believes it. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like
Okay.
something somebody would believe.
Okay, were there gay Nazis? Absolutely. Like that's a fact. Like we know
Mhm.
that. But
Yeah.
were
It's
people
really
Nazis
important
because
stuff,
they were gay? No.
No.
Fuck off.
Well, again, it's like you haven't even read the book.
It's really, it's if somebody's sitting down and reading like fascist theory, I can't remember the name of Mussolini's book, or Mein Kampf. If you see somebody sitting down and reading those, it's either like a really bad sign or a really good sign, and nowhere in between. It's either
Yeah.
like, yeah.
My teacher.
Look, I was gonna say, if you're gonna do that, do it in the privacy of your own home. Do not do it in public.
No,
Whatever
do it
you
in an
do-
academic institution
Yes.
with peers who can provide context for everything that you're reading. Don't do it in isolation and the privacy of your own home, because you might not be a critical thinker, and you might be taken in by an objectively charismatic individual who you shouldn't listen to.
I mean, like what other people seeing you read.
Yeah.
I will
I'll
say,
say,
Usually
Mein
a bad sign.
mid.
Mein Kampf, only book I ever dumped. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
read it, and then I dumped it. I was like, this is useless.
Man, the publishing industries have to be making so much fucking money from Mein Kampf, because nobody keeps their copy. Like, when you're done with it, you destroy it, kind of out of principle,
Like,
and it
are
can
you gonna
just
put on your
keep
shelf?
printing
Like,
them.
I mean, I really confused an Eason's employee when I was like 14 or 15. Because I basically walked in. Sorry, Eason's is a bookstore in Ireland. I
Okay.
basically walked in and in a single purchase bought, what was it, Mein Kampf, the Communist Manifesto, an English translation of the Quran, and like a copy of the Bible. And I really do wonder what the person processing that transaction was thinking was going
This
on.
kid's going through some shit right now. They're looking for answers, and well, 3 of these aren't bad places to be looking.
They're
Yeah.
looking for identity for sure.
Yeah,
No,
in
we need
Germany,
to go.
we
Have a
actually
good
like.
night, I guess.
Yeah, good night. Or evening.
I don't know for you. It's 7 a.m. for me.
Oh Jesus!
7
Why are you not
a.m.?
asleep already?
Where are you?
I'm in
Aren't you?
Japan right now.
Oh, that explains it.
Please tell me you're on holiday and not like about to take 2 hours of sleep and go to work.
No.
Yes, yes.
Well, I'm on holiday. It's normal.
Okay. Good night. Have fun in Japan.
Yeah, thank you.
No, I was a debate kid, unfortunately, so
Of
I needed
course.
to know all about these. I needed to have a
You,
surface level
a
understanding.
debate kid?
debate kid?
What? No.
I mean, I don't know. I never really had a choice in the matter. Like my mother's cousin was very active in secondary school and then like my local college debating, and he babysat me, so I was basically like nurtured into it, I guess.
And, on the like Mein Kampf thing in Germany, you only get sold commented versions, like versions with commentary attached to the source material, which is, I think, a good compromise because
that's the
it's
same in Ireland.
okay. Yeah, it is unedited, but just with attachments, which is the way to do it. My teacher, my history teacher, like brought out an original copy, which was interesting. Well,
Verboten.
no, no. If it's original copies, like printed in the 30s, then it's legal again.
What?
Because it's an historical piece. Like,
No, it's a historical piece if it's in a museum. If it's in a private collection, that's a fascist.
Well, it's in the school collection.
Well,
The school owns the book.
Fascist
know,
school.
maybe,
Yeah, the school
yeah,
is
checks out, you know what? I'm right.
True. That's my school. I'll say it, in Bavaria, I think it was the most progressive public school that sits in Bavaria, outside of Munich, maybe. Because, yeah.
Well, don't you know, the woke people are the real fascists.
Oh, here, yeah.
Oh my God.
Rule 6,
Nick, I
rule
don't
6.
like that
Rule
book.
6.
I can't engage on this. I'm staffed.
Well, you know I'm not serious.
I know, but even joking with a colored name that isn't a general audience, I cannot even joke publicly.
Exactly. I'm taking advantage of that.
Greenway. No.
Greenway
don't care
sounds
if
like. Isn't that a company or something? I think like Greenway, like bubblegum?
Here a greenway is a type of interstate or highway that has trees or plants in the meridian.
Wait, really?
God.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's what we call those?
surprising.
Wow.
In Ireland, a greenway is a route between two cities that is primarily used by pedestrians and cyclists.
Imagine that in the US.
Yeah, we don't have a
Have them somewhere.
I will.
That's
I
why
will
it's a new
say-
word to somebody living in the Midwest.
I will
What
say,
are
like,
you
I
personally
generally-
responsible for your state's poor infrastructure? No.
I mean,
My
They
state's
are.
infrastructure is fine, I'll have you
It
know.
is not. You live in the Rust Belt. You live on the periphery of the Rust Belt, but you live on the Rust Belt.
Our
No
public
state,
transit system
no
is
state in
good.
this country has good infrastructure. None of
do you
us.
have cycling ways between cities? Thought so.
No.
Here,
I mean,
No,
Uh,
but the reason why is because we have two cities and they're both very far apart from each other. Well,
That's
sorry,
not
we have
true.
we have
That's-
one
that's not
city.
true.
We have one city that's like two cities put together, and then another big city which is like way to the north. So the Twin
Yeah, but,
Cities
like,
in the
that's
south,
not
and then
reason
Duluth
why
in the
there are
north,
cycle
and then
paths.
that's you're not cycling between them. You're just not doing that.
Can you properly cycle from
Skill
one
issue.
end of the city to the other?
Yes,
And it's a good
yes, you
ride.
can.
It's a good ride. A good one.
there
I
are
don't.
people
I just know you
who
can't.
bike from Alaska to Argentina.
So okay.
I don't think
Because-
that's their daily commute, but
Well,
Because for my daily commute, I drove from one end to my, I think, few tens thousand population city to the other end, from the east directly to the west of it. That was my bike commute. I drove through the police station to the school.
fine. Especially as far as the Midwest goes. Okay.
Okay, sure. That keep telling
But
yourself
don't-
that.
it is. Like unironically.
man, people went fucking crazy with the bird names in Australasia.
Okay.
I mean, have you?
I'm sorry, I will not tolerate Minnesota slander. We're a
I
cool
will
state.
tolerate. Well,
we're
what
we're
will I
a pretty cool state, okay? We're very
Mid.
underrated.
Pretty mid.
We're very underrated.
You're
Put the
still-
mid and
excuse me.
Midwest.
Excuse me. Hold
put
on.
the
Let me
mid
pull
and
up the
Midwest.
human development. Let me pull up the human development index scores.
Okay.
Let me pull up
Let
the
me pull
alcohol abuse per capita index.
Wow.
Whoa!
Wow. Okay.
I know
You
the
voted for
Midwest
Reagan,
enough
by
to
the way.
punch back.
Yeah.
You voted
We're
Reagan, by
fine.
the
We're
way.
fine. Don't look at our mental health crisis.
Mm-hmm. See, the thing is, I could say this about any state. I could say this about, does California even have bike infrastructure at all? Just because it's like, no, it's also car ridden. Seattle, how does Seattle car?
Let's see. Where's Seattle? Ooh, Seattle's 7th on HDI. Yikes.
Yeah, because we have an actual
Where are we? Oh, we're
population.
third.
Oh, wow. Is it because Midwest and Central
Hold
American
on, we're upper
states
Midwest.
take their
We're upper
homeless
Midwest.
population and they bus them off to the coast, so then it's the West Coast responsibility to house the people from your states that you don't take care of? Is it because
believe
we have
Minnesota does that.
Texas's, Arizona, Montana, Idaho's problems that they just push onto us, and we, being decent human beings,
Okay,
actually try to
again-
take care of these people and invest a significant portion of our economy into it? No, yeah, the HDI is definitely
Minnesota is not
Ladies and
Iowa. Just to be clear, we are very different from
Perfectly.
Iowa.
Perfectly not political commentary from.
Oh yes, Rule 6
defending my
Rule
state,
6
okay?
violation. Careful.
I am simply
didn't say-
defending my state. Okay, we're
Access welcomes you over.
no,
yeah,
no way.
yeah.
Yeah, Omar, you know what they say? A saying: when fascism arrives to the doorsteps of the U.S., it'll
It'll be
arrive
draped in the Minnesotan flag.
in an American flag. And look at your RP character. Look at your RP character.
She
What is he wrapped in?
likes-
An American flag.
Technically, it's a shawl,
Not in the allegation.
Miles.
and also it's not the
Minnesota is
flag.
not that
So
big.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Minnesota is a fine state. Okay.
No, sorry, I fucked up. I was trying to figure out what the distance was between Minnesota's two biggest cities,
Okay.
and I accidentally put in Rochester, New York.
Ah,
Wait, Rochester isn't one of our biggest cities. Hello? It's like the Twin
sorry.
Cities and Duluth.
Yeah, sorry. According to cities
There's
of Minnesota on Wikipedia, it was Minnesota, St. Paul, and Rochester in terms of
I
population.
have never spoken to someone else in my that I've ever spoken to in Minnesota. Everyone is like, when you ask them like the top two cities, they usually go with like the Twin Cities because we like to bunch the two together, and then it's like
Yeah.
the Twin Cities and Duluth.
I mean, okay, Duluth.
I guess Rochester is probably pretty big, but nobody tends to think of it.
they're so tiny. None of
Shut
these
up.
have a population over 500,000 or little baby cities. Oh. Oh,
This is not
with the
really
Twin
that.
Cities combined, we almost have 1 million people. Oh, honey, good job.
Are you baby talking a state?
Yeah.
I love Minnesota.
So I am
Yeah.
gonna say it is
Great.
150 kilometers, not even 150 kilometers from Minneapolis to Duluth.
I can bike that.
Like, yeah, you can bike that. You
I
can
can
absolutely
bike
bike
that.
that.
I can buy that.
I mean, that's not
I-
a tour.
You
That's
absolutely
a
can.
tour, but possible. Yeah.
I
it's
love-
on our own-
I love this Nami character. I can bike that. Angry German sounds. I'll get on my bike right now. I'll do it. I'll do it.
I'll bike it.
Nami's like, nah, I'd win. I'd
I
bike.
mean, okay. Listen, here in Germany, we have like bike highways where I can drive like tens of kilometers easily, comfortably. I'm getting my water. Maybe I'm even getting my tent so I can sleep while I'm biking. And then I'll just bike.
Listen, I just want to understand, Minnesota is not the Dakotas or Iowa. We're like a mini Illinois. We're more like a mini Illinois than we are those.
That's such a sad
that a
thing
win?
to aspire to. We're
the
like a
sad-
state that's 90% empty except for Chicago.
This,
Well,
the
I
sad
mean,
thing-
that we kind of are. Like, we're mostly empty except for the Twin Cities and Duluth. But it's fine because you know what?
because you're
we never
American.
no, 'cause
Number
we
one.
never
No.
we never voted for Reagan. So take that, rest of the country, except DC.
Congrats.
Yeah, Washington
Again.
voted for Reagan.
This thing I
Alex.
didn't participate in and wasn't even alive for, I'm gonna hold over everybody else.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
will.
Say that as
I will vote.
Very,
I will hold it over
very-
the rest of you.
Very Axis behavior, taking credit
Yeah,
for things
yep.
that happened before you were born.
The amount of America, pro OTO LARPing that happens that to me I just sit quietly and go, that's the doorway to fascism, right? Like this kind of fetishization that you're doing, like this is a great example of the complexities and gray areas between the two and how nuanced these lines are, right? But Ain't nobody ready to have that conversation
Listen,
or to introspectively look at our own behaviors and how they feed into different kinds of authoritarianism.
That's
If
the
I-
entire point of my character.
Yeah, if I talked... Sorry, continue.
No, go ahead. That was it.
If I talked like the Otto fanboys, but as a German, about Germany, I would get unmodded.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'd probably get banned, deservedly so. So just consider that and like always replace like, what if I said this about Germany? Just have that thought about once. Have that
Well,
thought.
with modern Germany, like, I'm assuming you're not
No,
talking about
no,
like.
I'm also talking
you
about
mean
modern
Germany?
Germany. I'm also talking about modern Germany.
Well, I think there's
If I'm
plenty
saying
of
like,
lovely
yes,
things
modern
about
Germany, but it's very good. It is very good. You know, we have goals like, I don't know. Okay, this is not a thing here. I'm sorry.
I think there's plenty of lovely things about Germany.
Yeah, like our bikeways. That's about
Yes.
it.
Bikeways are
we
cool.
we have trains that sometimes run, always delayed. We have
You know, Nami's actually German when they are talking about their rail network, which is miles above anything we have in the United States, and you hate it. It makes sense because the trains are always late and it's expensive as hell, but checks out is German.
Yeah, it's the same.
Compared to like the developed world, our country, like what is considered the developed world, like Europe and Japan and China,
Not the
like even
US.
China, like even compared to China, our rail network like sucks. Like when you know, no nomad can make fun of German rails, and I
mean,
that's fair. Like Czech rails are. Like, I think their subway system is significantly better, from what I know. And
Look,
that's just
I think there's lovely things about many countries in the world.
Now,
and you can
but what about
celebrate those
German
things
ideals?
without going over the top.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't seem to have a good conceptualization of where the top is. Nationalism's a hell of a drug, man. It is seductive as hell.
Listen, partial privatization of rails will get me into Rule 6 territory right now if I continue the sentence.
Well, privatization is a step back to the 1930s and 40s.
That
you
is
take
true.
these public services and you.
We love our business moguls that collaborate with the state in a weird fusion where, well, that's. Is this Rule 6 territory when I talk about like historical events in this case?
Well, you can highlight and say that it was a theme in the early development of industrial Germany, continuing through the 20th century, that there were powerful families, moguls, and industries that were very hand in hand with the government and institutions of political power.
German megacorporations in DOV will have interesting points of inspiration.
Rheinmetall.
IG Farben.
Yeah. IG Farben. Yeah.
You can't say which one is worse, but yeah, they're both very bad. BMW.
I'm gonna say IG Farben is worse than Rheinmetall.
I mean, in this case, yes. There's like, I know there's some aspects of DOE that should not be, that require very deliberate thoughts, and I don't know how the labor market in Germany, in the Axis looks, and I am concerned because. There's
certain practices are not sustainable over the course of centuries.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and the scary thing is, like, how would they try to make it sustainable? Because that can look like.
I don't know, but like having like slave raids in DOV would be kind of interesting.
What?
Omar, we talked about slavery the entire time. I just didn't
I
say it.
just
Yeah.
came in here.
Yeah, it is. I have
I've
been
been
talking
doing
about.
That's
two different things
subtextually
at
what we've been
once.
talking about.
Yes,
Yeah.
we've been talking about
Okay.
slavery.
I've
Yes,
been
you're
doing
Yeah.
like
I mean,
I've been doing like a
we
review
could
at the
have-
same time, so
We could just have it where where all the navy ships are filled with slaves and they load the shells and whatnot and they row it.
I'm so thrilled that we're not actually working on this because
Yeah, no.
immediately it becomes so tasteless.
Yeah.
Immediately it becomes, all right, okay, this is why we don't do this publicly. just
That's why my only comment
Uh.
was, I'm scared. I'm scared about that convo.
it's
Do you want
it's
the
a great
easy answer?
conversation for later. Yeah.
The easy answer is yeah. Yeah, okay. Zika,
Make
go
it
ahead.
so dystopian, man.
The
We
easy,
gotta have a
easy answer.
dystopia.
The easy answer is industrial automation made slavery redundant.
I hope so.
Yeah, well, you could have made that case in the early 20th century too, and people in the 19th century loved to talk about how industrialization was going to free our labor, and we wouldn't be working 8-hour days or 10-hour days. We'd be working 4-hour days and 3-hour days, and the future was such a bright place, a workers' utopia. How could we not inevitably end up working in that direction? So, you can make very hopeful statements like that.
Surely a world like DOV where everything appears to be like dystopianly stagnant.
Pointedly,
will
not
be-
a dystopia.
Yes.
Pointedly,
Sorry,
not a
God
dystopia.
damn it. We're not
Yeah,
gonna
it's
have
not
a
a-
grimdark setting.
it's not
Not a
grimdark.
dystopia.
It's not
Still very
dystopian.
stagnant.
Yeah,
Yes,
I've
stagnancy. Yeah.
there's
Magnancy of
there's a subgenre that we fall into, and it's not dystopian fiction.
damn it.
What is it?
Military
Jeez.
science.
Yeah, military science fiction,
science fiction.
and geopolitics, but not grimdark, not not dystopian. We're not circle jerking about how bad things are.
Damn it. No hive worlds or anything.
No.
Yeah,
No.
street quote.
Marcus described
Hard no
them
on
as,
the
um,
hive worlds.
the worlds in the
Worlds?
middle, right?
Yeah, listen, if
Yeah.
DOV like advanced like 500 more years,
Maybe. Then.
well,
yeah.
then it's a dystopia.
Well,
Well,
there's
if
not
it
enough
kept-
population for hive worlds. Like the way that cities have been described is hive cities before they became hive cities, if you know what I mean. Which, no, Mark, not the clearest thing. But very Tokyo, basically. Very developed areas. New York. That's the kind of precedent to look at.
Planned by one committee and not organically like spreading.
So like
which is
Brasilia, if it worked.
Planned by one committee once and then rolled out onto every planet in a standardized form.
I mean,
It depends on the country, yeah.
I could unironically see the U.S. doing that.
Yep.
I could see every fact. Like I could
Like,
see
especially with the way
certain-
suburbs are built.
Oh my god, no.
We're not gonna build suburbs. I mean,
We're
like
not going
having like one standardized.
All right,
Yeah.
Nami, hit
Like
him
every- on
with
every
the how cars are fascist.
Oh yes, cars.
Let's go.
Yes. So, cars.
I hate cars.
Good.
Okay, we
But
won't
I
have
drive them, but I hate
self-driving
'em.
Cars.
no. I'm
Nope, no
talking about
cars.
cars at all. In like overall, cars are fascist, or at least they are enabling fascism and aiding it. There are multiple reasons for this. First of all, well, the historical connection between like heavy industry, i.e. the car industry, and like those business moguls, we mentioned that. Then, cars give a state the ability to dictate how public life works. If you control who owns cars, you don't have to, for example, enforce curfews. You can just give the people that you think are desirable the cars so they can get to places. And then you make the rest of the city entirely unwalkable, which forces the people that you don't want in public life into their homes and their workplace and wherever public commutes go, which you can also strictly control. Of course, it is also a status symbol. But yes, this is why cars can very easily enforce a very stratified economy or a stratified system of government overall.
Oh.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with you, but I am going to say I put a lot of thought into how traits would be used by the Axis to do exactly that.
Well, that's why you only give the cars to the party officials.
Brennan Lee Mulligan had a thing about this in one of his D&D series where like the main villain was like a lich, but he was based on a real American industrialist.
Yeah.
On
On Sleeping City.
They make choices. Like you steer left, you steer right, but someone else built the road.
Yeah.
Right, and kind of like it's a symbol for like individualism being used as a tool for social control. It was really interesting.
What the hell was his name?
So just
Robert something, I think.
Yeah.
Every time a dropout mention happens, half of the chat for some reason is like very happy.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's very good. It's very good.
If
That's a great DM.
the dopamine
was
of
the
somebody
New York
saying
one.
Brennan's name, I'm like, yes, the D&D to socialism pipeline is working.
It was the other way for me, but yeah.
Listen, my partner and I are sharing a dropout account, and it's like the one media subscription we have, and it's great.
Same. Yeah,
Yeah.
$6 a month. Look, does this count as promotion? I think me saying it's only $6 a month definitely pushes it over the line.
Yeah. Are you maybe Brennan Lee Mulligan's? I don't know.
Man,
Ollie?
that'd be nice. That'd be real
That would
fucking
be-
nice. No.
Genuine question on that, like if you're not aligned with, if you're not associated in any way with a product or service, is it advertising to tell other people that it exists?
Technically, yes. It's
So
just
yeah.
Kinda.
If it is, the rule is very intentionally phrased, right? The devil's in the details, right? So, do not DM without consent. Do not do any unsolicited advertising. If somebody asks you for a link, it is okay to share that link. If somebody asks you, like we are asking people when they're engaging in topics of conversation in the various channels to cite your sources, that's a constant ask, so those links are always okay. If it comes up in conversation and somebody's interested, then you can post it. If you are posting conversations purely to fish for people to ask so that you can share, that's going to be obvious and that's going to count. But, you know, most of the time it's not a big deal. Most of the time it's going to be fine.
yeah.
most
Just
of the
don't
time.
name the pricing scheme. That's just the defined line. Don't name like, and for $6 a month you can get. See, if I'm doing it as a humorous example, I can get away with it. Isn't that nice?
Use the promo code NAMI to find out to get a discount.
only $6.99.
69%, yeah.
Okay, listen. If I had a promo code for dropout, I would use it myself, and that's about it.
It would
No.
be like a closely kept secret.
Cabra, I'm sorry for ignoring you. You're in Twitch chat and I am looking at everything else.
Well, Cabra is also in this chat, making.
Fucking hell, Bread Pilly Mulligan.
Mulligan.
Good post,
Good one.
good post.
Real
I'm
down.
blind. I'm just blind. I get tunnel vision so badly when I'm working on the spreadsheet that I will just stare at this fucking thing scrolling up and down and not observe the universe around me.
Got lost in the sauce.
Mm-hmm. We're making good progress. I'm almost through Australasia. Names don't add more to it, you fucks. Add it at the end after all these crossed out names. That's fine, but don't. I feel good about the progress I'm making.
Anyone have a kangaroo as a name in there?
Kangaroo's definitely in here, as is the genus that they belong to, as is like a specific kangaroo that I cut, Kangaroos have come up like 3 or 4 times. I think wallabies even in here, right?
How many
Yep.
boomerangs are there in the...
Petition for the official currency to be dollary-doos.
Oh my god.
Didgeridoo is in here too, and I looked at that, I'm like, oh fuck, I hate that, but maybe.
Is that Bushranger? Isn't Bushranger like a grenade launcher?
It's named after these people. I just don't see us naming stars after criminals. I have one question for Nami.
Why?
What's the question?
Crazy.
What's more fascist, cars or purposefully bad public transport?
Purposely
I'm
bad
gonna
public
go
transport.
with purposefully bad public transport.
Okay. Purposefully bad public transport, 90% of the time is by the car industry. So it loops back around to cars are like the big bad evil guy. And
Is
purposefully bad.
Is jaywalking illegal in Germany?
No, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's just an American thing.
It's-
Jaywalking
Literally
is
just American.
extremely
Just
illegal in the United
I-
States. Product of the auto industry.
But you do.
Is
to
it
be
like
fair,
actually like a hard rule? Like, is it enforced?
Yes. Yes. It is. It shouldn't be, but if a cop wants to get you for it, they can, because it was made into law by pressure by the auto industries. By a very
country-
successful public campaign.
So
every
we
country
can't...
I've ever been in that has jaywalking as a crime has also been very understanding of the fact that I'm Irish and don't understand.
Yeah.
Like the number of New York police officers that called me out for it, but were also like, "Oh, you're not American. That's okay then." Was
double
very
standards.
If you jaywalk in Las Vegas, watch your ass. You will be caught very quickly. I'm not joking. They love to catch people jaywalking and find them exorbitant amounts there. It is a huge shakedown by the Vegas Police Department.
Yeah, listen, none of you know how Augsburg looks, and when I'm like, at least specifically.
Not in
But
person, no.
Augsburg,
I know it on EU4 maps. I zoom in, I zoom out.
is notorious in Bavaria for being half bulldozed in the 60s and also being half bulldozed in the 40s, but that's a different bulldozing. There's a lot of car-centric infrastructure. You can really feel the American occupation in that city.
USA. USA.
And I like.
How does it feel being an American colony, Nami?
I
How's it
think
feel?
I almost vomited when I saw a 4-lane road with double like crossing. I saw an
Those are so
intersection.
small in the United States.
I saw an intersection, and the intersection wasn't even like 2 straight lines interlocking. It was basically 2 curved roads.
Yeah.
And I hated it, and it took me like 5 minutes standing at a red light. Okay. There were, like, every local was just ignoring those red lights, because there were little islands between the lanes that you could stand on to wait for the next red light. But people just walked from one island to the other, even if all lights were red. And that literally still happened while there was a police car on the crossroad. The police car honked once, and that was what happened when people crossed over a red light. It honked.
Even the police doesn't like the auto industry.
No.
I love my country. I love my country so much. Such a
You trying to
great
manifest
country.
it?
Hasn't worked so far. I mean, no.
Yeah, I know there are rules for like not blocking the road in Germany, because we had like protests that blocked roads quite often, and well, police can't actually drag you away because that would be like too much for what you're doing, so they ask you to go. If you put yourself on the road with like, I don't know, glue or something. and they just stand there and arrest you, but they can't really arrest you, so they just stand there awkwardly until they get like glue solvent. Because
Yeah.
like dragging you away would hurt you.
Oh,
quite a lot.
yeah.
So they wait. So they just wait there.
In
But
my
fun-
country, we just tear you off.
I've seen like police officers like cutting away the asphalt instead of like the hand. So like to get the hand with
that's
the asphalt.
that's destruction of public property, and we do not do that here.
I mean,
property over people.
did you guys see the Greenpeace sentences that we had in the UK the other day?
Yeah.
Like 5 years for planning to block a road in protest.
Wild.
Like that is. Well, the fact is that the UK. Sorry if this is getting into Rule 6, but the UK has made it illegal to be a nuisance, which is not a legally defined term.
Very similar stuff here, but we should definitely stop talking about it.
Yeah. I just wanted to talk about a funny loophole in the law, and
yeah, you can't.
I shouldn't have started with that.
You can't because it's funny and cute over there, and then when I try to relate to it, my mind I just goes into Rule 6, and there's no way for me to engage in that conversation except saying, "Burn it down, comrades! Burn it all down."
Oopsie.
Oops.
Silly me.
Viva la revolution.
Me always.
We are
Alex
not
into
naming
Rule
a
6.
fucking city or star Batavia. You can get the hell out of here.
What's
No.
the problem with Batavia specifically? Oh, Australian coasts. Shipwrecked.
Wasn't Batavia...
Oh, Dutch East Indies. Okay, that's a lot.
No, that wasn't the Batavia I was thinking of.
It just means Dutch, doesn't it? Are you thinking of the Batavian Commune?
Maybe?
That's like, it's a thing in Kaiserreich. I think when Napoleon puppeted the... Yeah, you're looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Like Napoleon's puppet state in the Netherlands, I think.
Yeah, it's incredibly Dutch. It's incredibly historically Dutch. If we're gonna use it, we have to use it in a Dutch area, but we're not gonna do that because the lowlands are German occupied. So
Wait,
no
Is
Batavia.
there gonna be like Netherlands in exile or no?
No. We're not doing that. If we did a X country in exile for every country that was part of an ideology that maybe not 100% of the population would be members of that ideology, instead of having, say, 400 powers, we'd have 2,000. And we're not fucking doing that.
I mean, it wouldn't just be a government in exile, it would be a government in exile per ideology as well. So, like, if you have, for the Netherlands, yes, they're occupied by the Axis, or the lower part of it is occupied by the Axis. And the Comintern has a government in exile, and Oto has a government in exile, and even the Sphere has a government in exile. In fact, the Indians are setting up a government in exile right now.
Yeah. How many people do you need? If you look historically, you only needed like 3 people for a government in exile. So,
I mean,
we can canonically have governments on exiles on governments on exiles, but like, and in practicality, do they control stars? Maybe if they're puppet states propped up by other people, we can get into that, but broadly, Mark has, on world building streams, been resistant to the idea. I understand why. I'm still a huge proponent of it, but it does make everything needlessly messy and complex.
I do agree with you on that. Also, it's just, like, I mean, realistically, it's just a matter of like how many people do they actually have, and whether or not someone's gonna prop them up.
Bandicoots are real animals. God, I forgot about that.
You thought Crash Bandicoot was an invention, right?
No, I didn't, but I saw Bandicoot and I'm like, why the fuck are you submitting Crash Bandicoot? And then I got to, right, they're real things.
I'm not ashamed to admit I didn't know a Bandicoot was real.
Do you have to specify every single power, or can you just, like, talk about it in a very vague way?
Depends on the question.
Like you have a government or exile, or you have some sort of other like rebel group or something that's fighting against a larger conglomerate or group that they don't agree with, but are still part of the same culture. Do they even have to be like specified as a power, or are they control the system?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a great question. I mean, like, sorry, I interrupted someone.
Yeah, I was like, you mean like for your own like, art role play or like official lore?
Either, really. I don't know what I just came in here. I don't know what you guys.
You don't necessarily need to create a. How do I want to phrase this? There's a delineation somewhere, a very abstract delineation between when a group of people go from an organization to a nation or to a country, right? Do they identify as an independent power separate from the institution which they are trying to change or overthrow? If yes, then they might be constituting a new country. If no, then they are just a movement or insurgency or revolution. I think is probably the distinction.
I think,
But like, from a disinterested third-party perspective, very murky.
Well, if that's the case, you could, depending on like what context you're trying to say about, like, within like roleplay or within the great actual lore, it can just be to specify. It could be vaguely referenced, like, oh, there is a dissident group here that is in the system or on the world, yada yada. Like even on our planet, we have hundreds, if not thousands, of various insurgent and dissident groups that we vaguely barely hear about.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, no one's going to be. I don't think DOB is the sort of setting where any nation's going to be a political monolith anyway. Like, you can probably assume some people everywhere take issue with their government.
Yeah.
But I don't think it needs to be explicitly called out or quantified in order to be assumed to exist, because these are human beings and we have a reasonably good idea about how things operate.
Yeah,
well, I'm
just
flawlessly.
Just one thing with like rebellions and stuff, don't do it in the trap of like it's an ultra wealthy society and whatever.
It's just like it's just going back to the idea of like, oh, government in exile. Like, not every dissident group or group that doesn't agree with like whatever like movement or ideology that the government, the majority of their population has, is going to be some sort of government in exile.
I think you. Sorry, Arm. Go ahead.
But speaking of like government and exiles, what is the plan for like Synfaxi in Europe?
Oh yeah, we are never going to share lore through a stream like this. Lore is only going to be shown through the posts that the Champlain group make or videos. And also, as a soft reminder, it is against the rules to ask staff for lore. You're not getting struck or anything. Just as a reminder for everybody,
no, I meant
don't
like,
ask.
Like as a like aspect of the lore, since like stuff like the Poland and restored Commonwealth, all the governments in exile in Europe or conquests, whatever. And also the fact it's stated in lore to be mainly a tropical thing, so I'm a bit curious about that.
Is it stated? Oh, well,
it isn't. It is not.
No,
Once again, it is
is
not stated in lore that it's tropical. That is old lore, and every time people have said this, we've said, no, it isn't. And people just keep insisting that it is. That's old lore. Classic Dawn of Victory canon does not carry over unless otherwise specifically stated.
This is why lore goes through specific channels, those being the bulletins and the videos. And technically not even Mark streams should be taken like as exact one to like 100%.
I just bring it up because like with like a pretty simple solution, just keeping like Poland, the rest of them is just not to have it there.
For governments in exile, the one I can think of where it would make some sense to have a government in exile is the Philippines. That would be the one that I can think.
Do you mean
Well,
like
in exile, as in the home island, the main islands of the Philippines are, you know.
Well,
like
for a while,
run
but...
by like Synfaxi or like?
So, Synfaxi haven't been discussed what they are. When Mark has talked about, in the initial setting videos, talking about aliens, he talks about wanting them to be completely alien. So it would be, I think, a mistake for it to be an expectation that they are in any way humanoid or operate in any way recognizable as a society to ours.
I pretty much just envisioned it as like Iberium plus Mecha.
Wasn't War of the Worlds an inspiration for them?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of inspirations, but again, pending.
I mean,
specific.
I don't view them as anything other than just a vehicle to get humanity into space. So.
I don't think it's been stated, but it's pretty obvious that A Color from Outer Space is a very obvious inspiration as well.
I'd say if they're with the Philippines, they could be in government in exile, but then by the time humans travel to the Orion Arm and start setting up, they're going to stop being in exile. They're just going to be a new Philippine government in space.
I mean, I think the distinction should be made with like government in exile and just a nation in like as refugees, basically.
Oh, that is true. Like a stateless nation.
Yeah. Like stateless nation makes more sense. When you have government in exile, you think like competing governments.
Well, I guess so. Or like if like the original lands have been like conquered by another state, generally.
Yeah.
I am interested in the Philippines specifically, what we end up doing there. I think there's a lot of fun potential there, and had some interesting conversations about it.
Yeah, I'm just hoping you guys don't fall into the trap of just having like all the Asian nations as part of the sphere.
Well, a lot of them are going to be.
Yeah, just by the fact that Japan, the leader of the sphere, is going to want to bring them all into it.
They are the ones projecting power in the Pacific. The United States isn't really in a position to challenge that. South America isn't challenging that. The British Empire is probably anything but. So, I think there's a fairly good chance that canonically they've been challenged in China by the Soviets and the Comintern, and that India is independent. But I would bet that the sphere is dominant in Southeast Asia and East Asia. Kind of hard to not make that happen.
There's like the one region I would say like that could, well, influence some parts of Southeast Asia, or like the far south of it would be Australasia.
There's that, yeah.
That could be a case.
I mean, I'm just assuming that how much of China is under Japanese rule would also depend, like, on Southeast Asia. Since like there's the different communist groups down there as well, like, or rather significant even before the Second World War.
I love
in the sphere and under Japanese influence are very different things.
Yeah, actually, I would say I would like to see a lot of like non-legacy nations in the sphere, just from wherever, rather than just strictly Asian nations.
Yeah, thank God it's a long time before we're over there.
Yeah, I did actually mention that in the question of the, I guess I would say question of the week, but it's not weekly, so it's just a random question from the team and the chats about what sphere nation would you think would be the most interesting, and for the same fact, all other factions, the question as well.
Yeah.
And Sika wrote some, and who else? Let me see. I just noticed Sika responded to everyone. Sika Occultum.
I will say I got so annoyed at fucking Centurion's like 5-word response.
Oh my. Okay.
No, we can't.
Yeah, staff can. You can't complain.
We can't. Sika is a great example of the kind of thoughtful, long form comments and responses that are really useful for continuing conversation and dialogue, and is really, really valuable with world building. What's less valuable is throwing in a sentence saying, well, I don't think so, or something like that. Throwing in a lot of ideas, developing those ideas, being open to other people's ideas, adopting a yes and or a no but mentality when responding to ideas, very, very useful. I'm not saying that it's a part of the criteria for who our staff have been, but it is a consistent theme of the staff that we are improvisational thinkers. We engage more so when possible in dialogue and constructive discussion more than debate. And those are very desirable qualities to see in other people as well.
Yeah, one thing I do like is if someone presents an idea and like the idea behind it is fine, it's just the way they want to do it is the issue.
What do you mean? Sorry.
Like, I don't know, just tying it in, say you have an idea for a nation, like the background idea you have to achieve it does not work. I generally like presenting like an alternate pathway to achieve the same thing.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, just,
Oh, this is the autonomadic thing, isn't it?
Huh?
I mean, it can be, I haven't read it, but...
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Catastrophic. Yes, Kerbal, I'm still streaming, but you're not here, are you? You're asking me in a separate chat than the one I should be looking at. Fuck you, Kerbal. Like, you can find out this information by making 2 clicks, buddy. I'm looking at mod chat right now, and Kerbal's asking if I'm still streaming. Huh. If only there were a way to verify that.
I have another question.
Yes.
I have heard that there might be multiple of various countries and stuff like that, where like you might have multiple Chinas or multiple versions of that, correct?
Mm-hmm.
We do have 2 Chinas, don't we? Chinese SSR and the Republic of China.
Yep.
What is... But, sorry, I have a continuation.
Is the SSR, like, up, like, debatable now?
No, I thought it was confirmed that the Chinese SSR exists.
Look, let's not get hung up on it. We haven't published anything. It has been mentioned to exist. Is it an SSR? Is it independent? Is it part of the USSR? Is it this? Is it that? Is it a weeble? Is it a wobble? It is all in development, baby. It is a moving target.
So, at one point, does a nation that once at least considered itself a computer to the like legacy of a former nation, like a China or a Japan or whatever it was, at one point does one of them just diverge and become their own thing? Because we do know that will happen. We have kind of examples of that in real life, with kind of like Taiwan, even though they do kind of consider themselves like a China.
They still call themselves China.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Taiwan is a tricky thing because they do call the Republic of China, and
Yes.
they want to be independent, but majority of them just are fine with the status quo because the status quo prevents an invasion of their country. So they kind of pretend they kind of say they are, because if they don't say that, then the bigger China gets very mad.
Well, I mean, if you want
yeah.
like another much more straightforward example, there's North and South Korea, which have been diverting like extremely over the years. I
That
mean,
gives you an answer, doesn't it?
yeah.
I mean, the two. At what point do they become separate nations?
I mean, they are honest to God actually going that way. I mean, support for unification is dying off in the South. The North, I highly doubt is even interested in reunification anymore. Just
Nope. very wrong. It is still a huge talking point in the North. Reunification is a massive deal politically.
Like rhetoric-wise, yes, but is the leadership really gonna want to annex
I
a
think
nation that's
maybe you
vastly
should take their
larger
word
than
for it, and that they are more qualified to say whether they are or are not in favor than Westerners are to say on their behalf.
Yeah,
To be
from
polite.
from what I've heard, I feel like the South Koreans are less in favor of it.
Probably.
That's
Yeah.
I'm kind of pulling that just out of things that I remember reading, so it's probably
I mean, you
very.
can look
I don't
at,
know
like,
how true that is.
you can
So
look
What
at
I've seen
survey
about it is that South Koreans are quite worried about what level of economic burden it would be for them.
It's the same worry that West Germans had
Yep.
to a much higher extent now, because the German Democratic Republic, German Federal Republic, like discrepancy is or was significantly less than we see with DPRK and Republic of
I mean,
Korea.
and
also
even then,
like
oh.
looking at East Germany, like at times they didn't even want to proclaim themselves as or pursue German reunification.
Orm, what
That
were you saying?
is also not.
I mean, wouldn't it be easier to look at former Soviet states as examples of nations that very much did go their own way?
I mean, the thing with these Soviet republics is the former ones, they're all like different ethnicities.
Orm,
Like,
what was
I
your
guess-
question?
Matters
Stop. Let Orm talk.
I was gonna say, can't you see the differences between Germany, like from space? I think it's, if I remember correctly, you can see them from space because the two Germanys each use different materials for their street lights and their city lights. So you can, I feel like I remember reading about that, and I
If you
could
go
be
back,
wrong.
if you go
That
back
is the
by
case.
around 15 years, then you can see it. Nowadays, well,
So that
no.
hasn't changed, or
Well, at some point, lights get replaced. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that being said, I mean, I don't see an issue if, say, you have a divided nation, one side settles here, the other side settles there, and after like 300 years of divergence, I mean, are they going to be the same people? Probably not.
But at one point, do they stop consider stop considering themselves like the legacy of another nation, even though it's still part of their history? Will they just call themselves something else? Will they rename their nation? Will they do something else?
Yeah, I mean, that does tie perfectly into the concept.
It's
I mean,
it's a fun academic question, but the answer is that there is no clear delineation when that happens. That it's ultimately up to the people of that nation to make that
The correct
determination.
answer would just be it depends. I mean,
it's one of those things where like you can have a country like Korea, for example, and you have it split under two completely different governmental and economic systems with completely different foreign policies, resulting in completely different cultural exchanges. And even if it was the case that they were, like, if you're talking about nationhood, like Koreans, existing as a single thing before, after multiple decades of just the two being isolated from each other in a way, and also engaging with the rest of the world in very different ways, you can very easily have a situation where a group of people that used to be considered one people, but just under two different governments, their cultures have drifted apart to such a degree that there's no longer a singular nationhood under two governments.
Are there still historical similarities? Is there still a shared language? Are there still cultural values, religious traditions that are shared? You can make the same argument for Germany ever becoming a singular nation, right? That is evidence of this conversation's not going to go anywhere productive. There is no rule you can apply here. It is always a case-by-case basis.
I
was saying I don't think that's that may not currently be the case, but it's something that could happen. Where you have a country that's been split apart for so long, and due to the way that they develop and engage, they could develop in such different ways that you end up getting two different nations coming from it. Because nations are ultimately
yeah, I mean that's basically Rome right there.
Constructed. Because nations tend to be constructed ideas.
If you go back like look at 90s German newspapers. Exactly this conversation was had or late 80s. Like, are we already so separate that we can't connect? That is like...
I'm not saying that was the case anywhere. I'm just saying it's an interesting thought exercise.
It's never
I mean,
not
if you want to
funny.
go back to like the
It's
19th
never not funny
century-
when Orm is in the middle of saying something in a very serious tone, and that robot. It's so funny. I'm sure it's frustrating for you, but
It is frustrating for me.
it's nice.
I don't even know when it's happening, so I can't
Yeah.
even like be like, oh, I'm sorry about that. Let me repeat. And I don't even
If
know
you
what's up with it with like Discord, because I've never had this happen to me on Zoom. I don't have this happen to me in any other situation. I don't even have this happen to me.
I can't
it's not
make
an
the
internet
joke
issue.
that I want to make.
I don't know what
I
it is.
don't have a clear idea of. We don't have any Aussies in the call, do we?
I know some Australian. I know
They're
an
asleep
Australian.
right now.
It should be asleep.
Hold on. Time in Auckland. I know that's not Australia. It's 11 in the morning in New Zealand. No, Kiwi should be awake. I would genuinely really like to hear from Aussies and Kiwis about what their vision for Australasia is, because I think you could go in some very cool directions with this faction, especially with Aborigine and Maori representation and culture. I think you can do some very cool shit here.
Australian and a New Zealander.
I mean, are you referring to like names and
I got
stuff,
names
or
from-
like a Aboriginal revival or anything of sorts?
Oh, both.
Okay.
'Cause it's
Yeah,
it's far enough in the future that when I know I'm not gonna bring this up. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, isn't like the Aboriginal population like 1% of Australia?
Doesn't matter.
Less? Okay.
Don't matter. I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna be. Every nation or even group is gonna make it into the Orion Arm, right? If I remember correctly. Every
Yeah,
single
but
one.
it's
They're
gonna...
gonna exist, and that doesn't mean they're gonna have their own state. Doesn't mean they're gonna exist in large numbers, but they are gonna be there.
Yeah, but it's kind of bizarre just to have like, I don't know, the Aboriginals like half of Australia or something.
Maybe not
Eh,
half, but like they
yeah.
could be a pretty sizable minority
I
group. They can have representation
disagree.
in government.
Over the course
Uh-huh.
of a couple centuries, Australia went from 0 white people to the number it has today. There's no historical precedent before that Black Swan event for the population and the demographics of that continent looking like they do today. So it's kind of asinine to say, well, it's just not realistic for a current minority to grow significantly in number.
I mean,
But
the thing was with the white population, it was sustained by ongoing European immigration and high birth rates.
High
yeah,
birth rates can
and
happen.
you can just as easily. God, I want to say a particular thing. I'm not going to. You could just as easily get around that by having immigration work in the opposite direction, effectively. Like, maybe Australia develops in a way politically that causes an awful lot of people to leave.
Yeah, I'm like fine with Aboriginals being like a higher percentage, but I don't want like a situation where they have to breed like rabbits for like centuries on end.
I
Or
wouldn't describe it
even easier.
that way. I definitely
yeah.
wouldn't describe it that
There's,
specific way.
Yeah,
And I would encourage
bring
you
it
to
up
not
as a-
describe it that way.
Yeah.
I'm just bringing it up as a concern. Just
Oh,
mean, you can-
Watch
would
the
s-
phrasing.
Yeah, I would be very careful right now.
yeah,
The other easy solution is Australia did something similar to Canada, and the natives weren't really on board with that, which I think is a very understandable position for them to take. You know, if Britain turned around and was integrating Australia, would everybody really go along with it? What would the demographics of the remainder of Australia look like after that?
I mean that's fine. That works perfectly.
Different splinter nations maintain their true Finland.
Are you reading something, Orm?
I'm reading general in the voice
Okay,
chat.
okay.
Because West Vega typed something about
General?
nations with like legacy status.
Yeah, there are like two
Mhm,
nations, like
mhm.
Finland and Bulgaria, and like
So
everything in the Middle
pointedly, those are the result of singular nations being split by geopolitical events. Those are not the result of ideologically divergent groups of a single nation establishing separate nations, if that makes sense.
What could happen in DOV, like theory, but I don't think that's how Bulgaria, Romania, and the Finnish SSR. I don't think that's how that happened. Although, man, I do want to. I can't wait for Mark to talk about more about Bulgaria, Romania.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept, and it was kind of just born out of
I don't like it, to be honest.
There's quite a bit of historical precedent for it too.
Yeah. But yeah, I am interested to see how it works for sure.
Are you referring to like the old Bulgarian Empire or the various like monarchical personal?
So there have been multiple instances. So first off, the Second Bulgarian Empire was founded by Bulgarians and Wallachians, or as they were called, Vlachs. And since then, there have been many proposals for Bulgarian and Romanian unity and forming into some kind of either a united country or having some kind of like supranational union between them. So there's definitely a lot of precedent, and out of all of the possible nations in the Balkans for Bulgaria and Bulgarians to be willing to want to unite with, or at least grow closer to, Romania is, unironically, probably at the top of that list.
I mean, like, the proposals were 19th century ones based on the monarchy.
Yeah.
The issue with like doing it in the 20th century is you have both of them fought multiple wars against each other. The Balkan Wars, World War
multiple wars against each other. That's true, but
yeah, there's
things change.
There's no ethno-linguistic ties there. No common ideology.
There's no ethno-linguistic ties. There was no ethno-linguistic ties between Austria and Hungary.
Yes, but that was a monarchical union.
Correct.
Yeah.
This could also be that.
It's okay if you don't like it, but it is canon.
Okay. I mean, in my opinion, I would just say rather than doing a Bulgarian-Romanian union, I would just say
that's
Bulgaria and maybe say like Yugoslavia or something.
No, Bulgaria is not joining Yugoslavia.
Yeah.
And I can explain why. The Bulgarians did not want to join Yugoslavia because the Kingdom of Yugoslavia...
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because the canon's been established. We don't need to talk about things that aren't going to be. It's done.
I know, but like this idea of Bulgaria joining Yugoslavia, it like if you just think, oh, Yugoslavia is South Slavs, therefore Bulgaria is South Slav, therefore Bulgaria would want to join, but that's not true because
I mean, I bring it up as
the Yugoslav monarchy was Serbian. The Bulgarian monarchy did not want to be subservient to the Serbian monarchy. It's that simple.
I mean, you can argue the same case in Romania. I just bring up the Bulgarian-Yugoslavia union just because it is an ideology there behind it, that being pan-South Slavism, which did have support in both Yugoslavia and Bulgaria.
I have a question.
There are many number of reasons why the two nations could possibly want to join up.
What is the question?
Well, because like Yugoslavia, at least today, doesn't exist anymore. But it does exist.
I mean, it's just, go ahead.
Are you doing anything with the nations that end up separating from there?
That's a great question. Not the place where we would be releasing that information for the first time.
Okay, I'm just asking.
It is an interesting question. It is a big question mark on the map, right? Things have been talked about where Italy is, where Germany is, where Bulgaria, Romania end up. We've talked about where a lot of Eastern European states end up. Turkey has even been delineated. North Africa, you can kind of figure out. But the Balkans, it's always some damn thing in the Balkans.
Always.
Be like on the lookout for updates on the wiki because they are shadow dropped sometimes by Mark. So if you look at Astro Politics, updates happen and they don't get announced. So you might spot one of those nations at any point.
Yeah, like you just like go to the wiki, and yeah, like for example, there was one today.
You robot voiced there a bit. Homer.
Shirley added like 2 things today, I'm pretty sure. But you can always just check the recent. If you want to look at any updates, you can just periodically check recent changes. And I believe it'll like directly link you to where the changes are. So.
So like anything on the wiki is just gonna be straight up unchanging, no matter how small it is.
What?
That's not what was said.
Oh no, I'm just asking just because you made I forgot, someone made a comment about how it's lore and like final type thing.
It's okay.
The wiki is only populated by published information. Now there may be redactions to published information, but the wiki is one of the safer places to go to for an amalgamation or a summation even, one might say, of published information.
Okay.
But like, are you saying that because all information is subject to change, or all information might be based on somewhat biased information, like the videos, that certain things could be changed, or new? I
think both. There's the meta consideration that this is a world-building project, that this is a work in progress, that we are still in the early days of a lot of this development, and we may say things early on that we want to walk back later or change or modify, and that's just, part of a creative process. Also, having the inherently unreliable narrator of an in-universe information source also opens the door to the possibility of misinformation, mistake, or things along those lines. So I think it's a both-and situation.
That's understandable.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be fine with like a union of Bulgaria and Romania if it was a communist one instead of the fascist national.
So, from what I remember, there is a Bulgarian and Romanian SSR, which are both separate, and then there's the Union of Bulgaria and Romania, of which the nature is currently unknown. So it could be like a united monarchy, which is possible, like a dual monarchy system maybe. It could be a non-monarchy. I don't know if republic is necessarily the right word, but
is
yeah.
Is the POV canonically anti-monarchy? For want of a better
I hate monarchies. Mark hates monarchies.
Like,
It's more who's writing this? Mark. What's Mark's feelings on monarchies? That they don't make any sense in a science fiction setting like this. So it's really easy for folks to look at the 19th century, 18th century, even early 20th century and go, well, this or that worked because they were monarchies, or like the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, or whatever. Sure, those are our historical precedents, but we have hundreds of years to play with. We have an entirely fictional setting. We have total authorial control. So we don't need a monarchist union to justify a cultural union that might be an entirely new thing.
Yep. I posited it as like a possibility. Like you could maybe you had some kind of royal union, and then maybe the monarchy eventually fell out of fashion and it got replaced with a non-monarchical state that remains united. It's possible.
I mean, even with like modern states that have personal unions, I mean, the only one that comes to mind, the only one that exists actually is Britain. I have trouble seeing like any modern state just going with doing a personal union and just start merging with a state it has a personal union with.
Remind me, European Union about 200 years from now.
Yeah, federalism, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, like, European Union is quite different than discussing, say, fascist union between two rival ethnic groups.
Rival ethnic groups? What does that mean?
I mean, like, they have two, if you're talking about early century Romania and Bulgaria, they had multiple territorial
Well, the states had beef with each other. I don't think the people necessarily did.
And I mean, let's be honest, going to space kind of resolves
Also-
territorial disputes, or at least all
Also,
old
like
ones.
the Shinfaxi kind of the Shinfaxi did a lot of damage. You could easily have a situation where Bulgaria and Romania, that it's better to just work together to help develop each other economically to recover from the Shinfaxi, and that's preferable to just constantly disliking each other. Especially when it comes to both the Shinfaxi and the Communist and the Soviet Union.
I mean, you don't need to unify necessarily to do that. I mean, that would be a counter argument. Also, there's the massive population.
I mean, you don't need to, but you can. There would be a reason to. It could be a justification for some kind of set of agreements that could later turn into a more integrated state.
Sorry, thought I was muted.
No.
I am so happy that we're not working on any of this right now. I am.
I mean, it's all settled. Wasn't that just like announced ages ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So, we don't need to justify it right now. We don't need to iterate on it. It's done. So I'm really happy to be able to go.
Fine,
Cool.
let's work on the Commonwealth in space now.
The common of Australasia.
No, the Polish one.
It's called.
It is a fairly. It looks like a hard word. It's a pretty easy word.
It's
Mitch and Morshe.
Mierdzimorze.
Uluru?
It's not that hard to say.
Uluru? Easy word. Also an easy word. I forgot that you could see what I'm doing in real time. I'm like, how do you know? How'd they know? What the fuck?
You think that we're all talking here? We're actually all laser focused on what you're doing.
Yeah,
I
I
like watching
mean,
the,
if
like,
you
the
have
hunt.
submitted names in here, I absolutely know what it's like. I used to watch Mark go through and reject stuff and then highlight 16 of my names in a row, and I'm like, oh damn, and then get a DM from him like, hey, you want a job? I'd love to be able to do that with some people, but we really gotta figure out some stuff how we're handling that. I
Trust
feel
me,
like
I can relate.
it maybe kicked the hornet's nest a little bit, sharing the the leaderboard for the American name submissions for a number of name submissions. Some people got real invested emotionally in that, and
Yeah, dude, people went kind of crazy.
Extremely invested.
I'll say it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Please do not get overly emotionally invested. If a name of yours gets rejected, hey dog, it happens. It happens to me all the time. We, like water off a duck, that shit shakes off, we move on. It's not a big deal. And if you were really, really forming a piece of your identity or persona around, I'm putting out a lot of names. Or asking me specifically to check out names. They're like, oh, posting in the Star Map channel, oh, I just posted a bunch of names. You're making a little too much about yourself. I need that energy directed more at the project and at the thing we're working on, rather than it being portrayed as Alex rejecting my ideas specifically. Because, dog, that's uncomfortable as hell. That's not what I'm doing here. And I really would like folks to think about it in a... We're all in this together. We're all building this together. We're all bouncing ideas off of each other, having a conversation and a dialogue about it.
No, this is who can get the most names on the map.
Yep, apparently. I find that really
Oh,
distasteful,
Jesus
personally.
Christ.
It is
Sorry.
it is very important that my name gets picked and yours is bad.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I already submitted that one, so... Did you steal mine? Did you edit mine? People getting really weirdly possessive about shit when... Dog, it's a bounty. It's a bounty that There's no prize. The prize is just inclusion. And if you see a name you submitted, does it matter if it's your name on it? It just feels good that, oh, hey, creatively I'm resonating with the other people working on this project. That's such a cool thing. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
There's some not so nice stuff in the Axis chat right now. Nami's on top of it, so it's okay. But like,
Yes, that's why I have been silent, because I'm just sweating right now.
yeah, I can understand. You have a very unenviable job.
Because
See, I
this
just
is the like, I like understand this is something that's in the mind of people, and like an understandable concern, a very understandable concern. Every like viewer people, like all the people have that the Axis will be portrayed in a too mellow way. It's just very important to remember that this is like one of the very sensitive topics that will be done privately. That's what I mentioned, and I'm just currently internally debating whether I should like force them to edit, to delete, what I should do right now. I'm just thinking right now.
I think also like.
I mean, take your time. Sorry for putting you under pressure.
No.
This shit happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's important. It's important, right? To look at, hey, these things happen. These things have happened.
Yeah.
These things may happen again. But creatively, that is not where our focus is. This is a geopolitical setting. This is a big picture kind of setting. We certainly don't want to participate in any form of erasure or whitewashing. But this isn't trauma porn. This isn't a place where we're looking to glorify or portray extreme acts of violence, right? That's not the story that we're interested in telling or the world that we're interested in creating. So, is it an interesting thing to talk about in its historical context? Sure. Is it useful in world building? Not here.
It's also in setting, it kind of implies that fascism, at least in that form, is unsustainable, which is absolutely true. So,
yeah,
it's like realistic.
This is entirely kind of my approach to fascism within POV. Like, it had to last 300 years. A lot of shit had to happen for it to do that. Like, it couldn't have been, it can't be what it was in the 30s, because everybody knows that wouldn't work. It wouldn't work economically, it wouldn't work. A whole bunch of reasons, don't need to get into it. So, like, I think the way you square that circle very easily is you basically just have a series of hard lessons. But in order to do that, you have to delve into the 300-year history of a very complicated faction, and you want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's difficult. Like,
a lot of people will hit reading about the history of fascism, and will hit these big things and these big questions when it comes to subjects of genocide, of ethnic cleansing, of, you know, ethnically motivated violence, and have those be the first big questions that they have. I think creatively we are much more interested in not in how to make the fascists look like villains. That's pretty obvious. What's more valuable is in theory crafting how on earth such a self-destructive, self-consuming ideology could have lasted that long. That is a much more useful thing to be brainstorming and talking about, that we, i.e. the people writing, i.e. Mark, would pay attention to and probably, you know, absolutely pay attention to. But if you're going on about, we gotta include this terrible thing or that terrible thing, you know, I think we're aware. I think we're pretty aware.
Yeah, I'll just say, like, I assume, like, many people have, like, a headcanon on, like, some aspects of how this happened, of like, Axis hundreds of years in the future, but I always am concerned that if I post my headcanons, it looks too official. So all of you, feel free to post your headcanons, and I will just critique them. So I'd feel like less like doing official stuff, and more like, because
Genuinely.
Yeah, go
Same.
ahead. Write your...
I'd really like to encourage folks to do that. I used to be a chronic long form poster like Sika is, but since becoming staff, I've massively dialed that back. Somebody, in a way that wasn't cool, joked the other day that all Alex says is that we're still working on it or it's a work in progress. Yeah, I'm toting the party line. I am being a good representation of the staff. I'm not putting my opinions out there as if they're canon. That is something you have to do if you become a mod or a staff. You have to put that hat on. So I do miss posting in the trenches. I miss being in Comintern chat and being able to not be representing a larger organization with what I do or do not say or do not advocate for. So enjoy it. Enjoy it. It's enviable. Don't be too wild, though.
And again, just like...
I get that post now. Sorry, go ahead.
So, yeah, and just like I mentioned for the RP already, I will say, writing for the Axis is not only a challenge for the actual writing team, even doing fan lore for the Axis is a task. It's a challenge, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I know... I can count the people I personally know that I would trust with writing that on one hand. So, please, go ahead. If you feel like either qualified or very motivated. One of those.
I'm not interested.
Like, since you said it ages ago, and I'm literally just like, what were the red flags? What did I fuck up?
Listen, it's my job, okay? It's my job to look at, like...
I mean, like,
being
funny
suspicious.
enough, unless there's anything, like, super, like, I see, like, super glaring as an issue, my main interest is, like, the smaller powers, because I find that more interesting.
Yeah, that's fair, and how they interact with each, like, with how... I mean, I can say what I'm interested in, if it's what I personally am interested in, and you saw from the question, and it's power dynamics between, like, internally in factions. That is something I'm so curious about personally. It is how does US and like smaller nations that we haven't even seen on the map, like how does that look in the OTO, or how is Germany a hegemon in the Axis, or is it constrained by things of, like, if the smaller nations do something together, they have some leverage, and how does the leverage look? That's something I find very interesting. So small powers and fleshed out small powers are extremely important for that.
I mean, I imagine the legacy nations are going to be, or non-legacy nations are going to be like a gold mine for that type of stuff, just because...
To answer what the red flags were, for Paul Jaeger. Name? Jaeger? Huh. I was immediately like, that's a weird name. Nami's like, that's a super common name. Allegiance? Axis? Axis is always a red flag. Genetically augmented human? Red flag. Lebensborn? 5 red flags. But the way that you wrote it and the way that you write through the complexity of the character and the depth there, and that you're not just doing a low effort kinda edgelord character, made it so that those red flags, which are just, part of reading through, were, thankfully a false alert.
Okay, well, I'm going to say you were entirely right about every single one of those, at least, because those weren't, well, not Axis. Axis I was forced into. Well, no, I wasn't forced. I was weak-armed into it. I don't even want to say strong-armed into it.
You were challenged
slowly coerced. Yeah. Jaeger was very intentional, obviously. And then genetically augmented human wasn't. That just kind of emerged from the character as they developed. Like, that wasn't there at the start. And I think, actually, I don't know if you can see, like, the history of every iteration. I think the first version may not even have that.
Mods can see every deleted post. I cannot.
I can.
mean,
I
you want
have
to go
not-
back through like a dozen iterations of this character? Don't
Sure,
bother.
let me just scroll like a mile.
in the old directory. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Yeah, the Lebensborn thing was just kind of something I was curious about. I thought it would give me a more interesting character psychologically, like something that would be more difficult to write. Like I
Yeah.
kind of want that.
Yeah, I can see how that'd be more difficult to write. Yep. Yep. I think it's certainly an interesting challenge, and interesting challenges, if executed upon well, they stand out a lot more than people taking safer approaches, right? But also, it's a gamble. If you fuck it up, you're out of here.
Yeah, listen, I'm watching, I'm watching everything Paul does like a hawk.
Good. I hope you get a little bit worried as time goes on.
Oh,
Huh?
listen, I'm worried. Lydia is worried. Everybody's worried.
No,
That is-
I've discussed it at length with some friends that I do other role playing with as well, because God, I don't like the idea of playing a fascist character. I'm just gonna say it, like I really don't. But again, it's a challenge. It'll be fine.
And
but
you
one of
can
the things
always
we kind of-
retire them. If it ever gets to the
Oh,
point where it's like,
God.
this is more work than it is fun, you can just have them move. Just get rid of
I
them.
haven't said it to Tio, but I have kind of been considering if this wasn't working out for whatever reason, just having my character get black bagged and that's the end of it. And I've kind of, I think, started setting up how that might happen. Hopefully it doesn't. But you never know. Yeah, no, what we've kind of been discussing anyway as a group is how, people talk about the banality of evil or the mundanity of evil, but like, how can good ideas be executed with ill intent? And that's kind of what I'm thinking about at the start, like, presenting a lot of things that people would get behind, like maybe a smoking ban. I'm really surprised that a space station allows people to smoke wherever they want. That's really weird to me. But anyway.
Like, now
but
that I think about it, yeah.
Yeah, like, that's the sort of thing that, especially as a medical professional, it would make sense to propose. And yet, like, and by the way, I am from a country with a smoking ban. I very much support smoking bans. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah.
Is it the first small step, or is it a small step towards a more authoritarian society? Absolutely. Let's call a spade a spade. Can lots of proposals like that, and taking advantages of circumstances as they come along, result in people making choices that they later end up regretting? Is that something that Paul might end up facilitating effectively? Like, I don't know. I kind of feel like, in a way, being an Axis character and having everyone's initial reaction, I think, no, maybe not everyone, a lot of people's initial reaction being like inherently suspicious, kind of weighs this down. But like, can you have a roleplay subtly endorse and walk into fascism until eventually they wake up and realize, oh shit, we've gone too far?
I think it's
Sorry, not
provided
roleplay,
a
station.
little. Yeah, this is roleplay stuff we're talking about. It has provided, and it's nice to hear people so excited about it. For my part, my reaction to what Paul had been saying down in the Roots, in the bar that definitely doesn't have 24/7 recording.
Yeah, best location. I have
You
to
will
say,
note
for-
that the next thing that my character did was introduce a totally not fascist tax.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, and then you did a thing and was pretty outwardly fascist. I, a communist, a crypto communist, but a communist, went, hold on, we need to start mitigating them in some small way, so we gotta hit them just slightly financially right now. I don't like what I'm seeing. And then the liberals on the station started going, well, what's with these communist programs? And I'm like, yep, this is what happens. This is textbook what happens, and it's really nice to see it playing out.
I loved reading that, I have to say.
It's very, very funny to me that people's knee-jerk reaction to, how dare the Comintern get cheaper drinks was,
I'm potentially gonna propose something to counteract that with my gym. OTO members get a discount, baby.
You already have that, right?
I'm
Well,
okay.
I have it for service members. I have it for former
you know,
inactives.
am I trying to create factional tension as somebody with a vested interest in the well-being of the roleplay? Maybe. Maybe I'm trying to work
I'm
as
all
an
for it.
example of how you can do it subtly and well and start stirring shit without being a drama queen about it.
I'm very excited
Also, Alex,
about...
I have... Sorry, you go ahead first.
I'm like, we have had a bar encounter in Bliss. I'm so excited for the fascist dinner. I'm so excited for like a bunch of communists going into that dinner and like doing like a restaurant review and sitting there and the tensest dinner in a lifetime.
Wait, hold on. Is it a dinner full of and the communists are gonna come sit down?
Well, one of those communists has a show where she reviews restaurants and bars in the station.
Yeah.
And like, it's technically her job conflicting with her ideology.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe she's bringing friends.
Something, 10 fascists at a table, something, one sits down. You have 11 fascists.
Well, unless
Voting
that
on
11th
restaurant.
person sits down with a pipe bomb, then you have no fascists.
That's a good point.
Oh yeah.
Unless,
This is why I'm in the
unless they miss one. Unless they miss one of them. Somehow.
Birds of Paradise. Is this referring to actual Birds of Paradise, not the flower named after the bird? Okay, alright. I think that might be too vague, but fuck it, put it in. Yeet it in. We're probably only getting done with Australasia today. How long have I been at this? 2.5 hours? Yeah, it seems about right.
Sleep 2.5 hours of spreadsheet.
I've slept about 4 hours today, so if we get to 4 hours, then I'll be at a 1-to-1, and I will feel accomplished.
That sounds bad.
Oh, you know what I didn't fucking do? I didn't ask Anna to go to the restaurant opening. Should have done that.
Yeah, very sad. Because once again, like the suspicious amount of like representative from every faction meeting in one place at the same time has to be upkept.
God, if only people didn't ruin violence for the roleplay. If only they didn't let me do
Alex?
political terrorism.
Alex, I'm just gonna say, now that there's no violence on the station, how can you possibly stop the fascists?
Poison.
That's still violence.
You use the communists.
Like a cop answer.
You got food tasters? You might want to start looking into them.
Just microwave their brains. It's fine.
Does destruction of property count as violence? No, right?
That's not violence. That's it's air cycling.
Yeah.
Can we
And keep-
troll them? Like, can we
Technically-
throw pranks on them?
I am kind of curious in the roleplay, and I realize this is getting way off Alex's stream's topic.
That's fine.
On the whole introducing new characters, no, not introducing like NPCs thing. So like, you know, when I gave that speech, I said that there was a small crowd of Axis supporters, and that seemed fine. One of the other things I was kind of considering introducing, though, that maybe less so, is there are fascist youth groups. They exist. Every fascist child is heavily incentivized into joining.
Yep.
So, if, for example, there was a Christmas market or a midsummer fair or some other event, would they be walking around in uniform? How would people react to that?
Thank God we have the children only exist outside of roleplay
we have
rule. Thank
soft
God
rule
for that.
About like children being sidelined heavily.
That is
I
such a
don't
great
roleplay the children.
idea. Yeah.
Like,
No.
gotta have
I just mean,
children
like,
in the mines.
I don't want our mods to have to moderate. All right, how are you handling a bunch of, not Hitler youth on this station?
You know,
Fuck that.
you know that scene of Jojo Rabbit with the grenade?
Yeah, I don't watch that movie, so no.
You should.
what?
Good movie.
It's,
I should. I want to. I just haven't.
yes.
It is very
It's a
good.
great movie.
And
No, instead I've watched Lincoln twice.
We watched that movie in school. It was fun. Yeah. That scene of Jojo misusing a grenade. That's what I would do with
Uh-oh.
children.
The only
Oh,
JoJo
no.
we discussed here is the
Uh-oh. Why do I feel like... Wait, what? Oh god, that's right. Ugh. Sorry, I went back onto Twitch to check and I looked at the remaining channels and there's one name there that gave me whiplash for a moment and I was like, oh right, they did do that.
They what?
Can we incorporate the stands from JoJo's Bizarre Adventures?
That's the wrong JoJo. That's the wrong JoJo.
Oh yeah. Also, Alex, thanks for the save yesterday with the scene where things were going to go in a certain direction that I don't think that people wanted to happen yet.
Thanks, Dank. Yeah. I'm glad. It's entirely possible that in private spaces, I was also being thanked for doing what I did. It's possible that may have come up, but I am very happy to step in character because I'm playing a very confrontational character when it comes to, not harassing women at their workplace. That I'm like, no, she'd have a problem with
Gym
this.
Of all places, of all places,
The
like
workplace.
God,
The work.
yeah,
look,
yeah.
And then trying to flirt with 2 or 3 other women in that same preceding scene, just retire the character. This is a
what?
trash character. Get rid of him.
Wait, what? What's going on?
Do you
Okay,
want?
I'm just gonna-
Take it
I'm
away.
just gonna-
Take it away. I'm good.
I'm just gonna link the post and leave it at that.
You know what? That's the
Yeah.
best way to do it. Yeah.
Have fun reading. Have fun
Can we
reading.
make Andrew Tate in the RP?
Oh, that is already sent.
Well, I want to read this. I want to know if Julia's gonna
Okay,
fucking
look,
kill
give me
someone.
here you go. Look, you know what?
It's so
have a
microaggression-y that no, probably not. But it's so
Oh,
full
God.
of microaggressions. Yeah, it's
I read
people
the
people
one
gotta
message-
be.
I read the one message and I cringed.
Oh,
it gets
keep
better.
going.
Put yourself,
no.
Keep going.
Wait, it
put
gets
yourself
worse.
Buckle up.
in that actual situation
Oh,
and
God.
think of what the response would be. Because I've heard people where stuff like that has happened.
My
and it's
my
not a fun
exact
experience.
response. My exact response is what I do IRL. Going, hey buddy, fuck off. Because they can't. The employee cannot do that without having their job threatened. So intervening on their behalf, and then it's just 2 employees or 2 people. Just be the decent human being there and stick up for somebody.
Oh wait, hold on. I read what happened slightly before. Ew.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I linked to I think.
Seriously? Oh no.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
hey,
I
at least
really
got a bunch of customers.
Yikes.
I really want people to have some self-awareness with if you are inviting other people to play in the RP, if you're opening up a scene for other people, or if you're just making it uncomfortable for everybody and driving people away. Because, maybe don't, right? And act and play in a way that drives people away and makes other people uncomfortable unnecessarily. I don't know.
Oh, no, okay. I was fine with it. It's just that not at that time what I wanted. It's time and place. You kind of alluded to that, later on. That,
Well, especially because it
I mean,
hasn't
unless
been so long
unless,
since very similar scenes, and there's been kind of too much of an emphasis from this one role player in this one way, just only doing these kinds of scenes. I all right, tone shift. If you're playing a smuggler, act up the smuggler stuff. Do more of that. Get into the Dawn of Victory part of it rather than the Won't somebody love me? What if I hit on random people? Like, it's... Look, we were all teenagers once. Some of you still are. My condolences. But God, no thanks.
God.
Okay.
I will say, I agree, that was a good save. Damn.
Listen.
Yeah, like it's just also it's like within there, we've been talking for like 5 minutes. I mean, I get time looks a little weird with that, but it's like your chances of success with that are just no, just no.
Hey, girlie, can I get your number? Hey, no. Get the hell out of here.
Nope. And
I am gonna say, I think a character like this could be saved if you were really, really good at roleplay. Like you could slowly go through someone learning like how to be less shit. But
Big if.
Talk about it with tank user before doing it, which I don't.
Oh
think
my god,
happened.
yeah. Yeah.
okay.
Huge.
What I should say with that is that it didn't happen in this case, but before the reset, things happened with 2 of the characters, and we were both fine with that, and we both talked about it before. It's just the problem was that this specific case was not discussed. And that was also completely different circumstances. I was the one who initiated it, kind of out of the blue, so maybe I wouldn't say it's my fault, but responsive. There is
Oh
some
man, the victim blaming. It's my fault that the man bothered me at the bar. It's because of what I was wearing. No, sweetie. No, you gotta...
No,
it's his fault. You
Yeah,
did
yeah,
nothing wrong.
I know. It's just that in a long time ago, that like a month ago, things were done in a certain way that where somebody could interpret that like you could do that again and accept. Well, that's not the right interpretation. You should ask before doing that. But
Yeah, generally the best policy is if you want to have kind of a more intimate scene, whether that be physically intimate in a romantic way or in a violent way, in a roleplay environment, it's always best to talk about it beforehand if possible. If you're going to do it improvisationally, look at the way that Sage and Claire have been interacting. Be slow, be subtle, leave every door for rejection open at every opportunity. Always give them an out. Always give them an out where they don't have to just say no to you and make you a bad guy in the scene.
This applies to...
Don't take no for an answer.
This applies to...
Don't joke about that.
Yeah. Where was I?
This applies to.
I mean, to be fair, it actually did, in thanks in part to Alex and Raven, did actually turn into a pretty cool scene. Became a little bit hectic as time went on, but hey, I got customers. I won't complain about that.
The moment the admin and a staff member start role-playing, 6 people pop in through the fucking door.
Always. But they give people... Oh, okay. They give people an out. Especially applies to like intimate scenes, but is always a good idea, especially in a like RP that's open. Like, you know, if you want to reduce the OOC, hey guys, I'm logging off, or hey guys, I'm logging in. If you want to reduce that, then make sure people have better outs, better ins. It's an additional, burden for writing, but it is very much worth it. And for some things, it's required. For other things, it's still worth it. Ace, I don't know if you're quiet or hot micing. If you were.
Oh,
quiet,
sorry.
I was reading and typing, and Nami was just reiterating what I said, so I can't respond to it in a way that doesn't reiterate what I already said or sound like I'm agreeing with myself.
1 second.
I like the way Shrug thinks.
I think Alex is correct.
I like your funny words, little man.
I'm not little. It's Magic Man, not Little Man.
Yeah, Magic Man.
Yeah.
What show is that from?
Johnny Bravo?
Is that
Clone
Johnny
High.
Bravo?
No,
Clone High. No,
it was-
okay.
Yeah,
I
it
need
was.
Clone High.
I
was Kennedy
need to
Clone
watch
High, yeah.
Clone High. Yeah.
Why did I
Is
mix
it-
up Kennedy
I
and
don't
Johnny
know, but
Bravo?
you convinced me, and I'm like, shit, it was Johnny Bravo. I need to rewatch that. I thought I was a better 90s child than this. I'm also, you're German. How the fuck do you know who Johnny Bravo is?
Cultural osmosis,
Oh, I
as
guess,
they
yeah.
call it.
Imperialism. Cultural
That's-
imperialism.
American
It is-
imperialism.
In the geopolitics, they call it soft power.
We sure do, because then it doesn't sound like we have an empire.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I should stop the German accent again.
Occhiato?
Oh.
What does this mean? It's a cool word. Does it mean something? No. Maybe.
Damn.
It's not easy to find, and it's the capital, so I'm gonna get rid of it.
Oh.
How am I up to? 100, 200, what, like 300 total? That's not bad. How many rejects do I have? That's a good ratio. That's like a 1-to-1 ratio. It's not bad.
That's an
Not
average
bad,
ratio.
gamers. Could be worse. Well, I haven't gone through and read about all these people, so I may cut a lot of them. I think, fairly skeptical of any famous white person in a colonized nation, so I have to go through and read through every single one just to make sure.
What? Why? It's not like there's any weird historical baggage there. That's
Nah.
nothing. No,
Nah, nothing to read about at all. It's
Oh.
fine.
it's fine.
It is nice. It is reassuring hearing people excitedly or fondly talk about the roleplay because, you know, I think Raven was keenly aware, as was I, as was the mod team. I was really just involved as an editor more than anything else, for the like rules, just grammar and stuff. That's not entirely true. I was also there in an advising role, but it's not mine and I don't want to take ownership of it. It's Raven's project. It's Raven's baby. I'm just a weird uncle, I guess. We did get a lot of pushback and there was a lot of initial apprehension, which is fair. And it's nice to see so many people who weren't involved before getting involved, so many people who had been involved but stepped away come back. And I think we can do some really cool stuff. We're just gonna have to put in a little legwork to get there, and I see it happening. And I appreciate the folks who are trying to make shit happen. It's not as easy as, and then I pull out my gun, but, you know, we can still get some drama.
The Michael Scott School of Roleplay.
I mean, most drama that happens to people does not involve guns.
You're not in
Actually,
your
I might
country.
want to retract that statement.
Outside of America,
Well, outside like America and like active war zones.
Uh-huh, yeah. Yeah.
Or like, you know. Then a lot of the drama you experience is weaponless in real life. And there's still so many like shows and books and whatnot about that kind of drama. So if you can't make that interesting, skill issue.
I mean, it's probably more an exposure issue.
It is.
I
An
mean,
ex-
it's
okay.
like a lot of people just don't like if all you see is.
I
And I
understand.
don't want to stereotype here. Okay, yeah.
I'll just say, you know, having a setting that is military sci-fi, and then having an RP that is primarily focused on the geopolitical aspect of it in a very confined space is a slight tone shift. It is a more indirect exploration of the pillars of DoV. I think personally, well, I, looked over how that would look after Raven wrote all of it with help.
Hey, you wrote some stuff and then fell asleep writing it.
Listen, that is helping, okay?
Yeah, it genuinely was helping. You cared so much that you worked on it until you fell asleep.
Well,
Not many people don't need to know that you just fell asleep because you were sleep deprived. Yeah, you can describe it that you're so passionate that you stayed up all night working on it. They don't know. They don't know.
An exaggeration. I did not work and fell asleep on my keyboard. I went to bed. I just forgot that I had the tab open.
So humble. So humble.
I mean,
so
as a Bavarian, I am obligated to be humble. Otherwise, I would be insufferable. But yeah,
so
I think it's a more interesting exploration, even if it's less direct. That's my point.
So the numbers in the actual roleplay per faction, I assume just by looking at it that it's about 10 people in Oto, 10 people in the Comintern, or 9 or 8 or 9 people in the Comintern, 1 or 2 people in the Sphere. I know there's 2 in the Axis properly, and again another 8 or 9 in non-aligned.
Correct. Note, you do see significant, even if Comintern, Oto, and non-aligned seem to have same numbers or similar numbers, the amount of activity is not that. It is not the same.
I think if you look through and do a comparison with the number of active users versus the number of people that had signed up for a faction on the initial roleplay submission, it's going to look jarringly low, but it is a huge accomplishment to have even a dozen people actively posting versus 5 before?
5.
Yeah,
we have, well, at peak times we have 20 people, which is pretty good.
Yeah. Especially because on this relaunch, Mark didn't mention it on stream.
That's true.
The initial launch had Mark mention it, and a bunch of people who aren't too active on the Discord hopped in to get their OTO flare and then didn't roleplay.
So when discussing it with friends, I have presented that as a very intentional decision by your team, with basically trying to keep control of it while the structure of the RP is set up, for want of a better way of putting it, and then introducing more people as time goes on is kind of what I assumed you're doing. I might just be attributing an awful lot more thought to it. I don't know.
I think the initial launch of the roleplay, Mark described as a soft launch, and we are still in that soft launch period. So us not being boisterous about, okay, everybody get back in here. We've definitely got it right this time. There are going to be no further additions or modifications necessary. Not true. I added and clarified on an existing rule last night. When this is in, it's nothing new. It's just motherfucker, fuck. Let me pull it up on the other monitor and drag it over. Rules. So I'm making sure it's the right rules. Yeah, not this one. What where the hell? Be deliberate. just a list of other sensitive topics to be considerate and deliberate about when writing. Other sensitive topics include, but are not limited to, class, poverty, physical or mental disabilities or illnesses, gender, sexuality, romance, relationships, social conflict, cultural differences, religious differences, substance use, PTSD or other trauma, physical or emotional harm, criminal activity, ethical, moral, gray areas, discrimination, grief and loss, etc. Just as a reminder, hey, don't be a shitty person.
I mean,
if
it's
you
good
are,
to be reminded. Like,
Yeah.
everybody needs to be reminded of that from time to time. Like,
as
nobody's
a
perfect.
as a soft launch, the idea is everybody participating now are getting in on the ground floor. You're helping test out and shake off the rust and form what the faction interactions are going to look like, how much faith we have in players being able to run faction events, RP events, how much or how little involvement or guidance it's going to need. Really, the hope is that we don't have to do too many really structured ham-fisty events and run this like a, traditional TTRPG. We're hoping for a communal, cooperative storytelling environment. But, if that doesn't work, then we pivot to having a very unenviable position of a DM, which kind of really creatively reduces the stories that we can tell. And yeah, we're hoping to do some cool shit here. So for folks who are engaging with it, thank you. For folks who are nervous about engaging with it, dog, I get it. For folks who are signed up and aren't always feeling up to it, dude, same. When things are slow, I post maybe once a week, maybe one post once a week. When I have more energy and downtime, I get in there a little bit more. You don't have to be active every day to be a appreciated contributor.
I will say, actually, the RP is what has got me to turn my phone off in work for the first time in a decade. Because, it was fucking compelling at times. I mean, this server as a whole was like a growing problem. Something had to be done anyway. But yeah. Fixing problems before they become a serious problem.
Trying to, but I think we've tried pretty well. Hopefully, we haven't gotten mails yet. I don't know what would be the big no. We haven't gotten emails
Yes, you
yet.
have. I've sent at least one message to Modmail in the last or at least I tried to in the last week.
I meant physical mail as a joke.
Right.
As a joke.
We have got an email, haven't we?
You have to look for it. There is an email for the Templin Institute. It's only for professional contact, but it exists.
I mean, I remember you saying that somebody once emailed you.
Oh, my personal email. Yes. Some people don't know how to take no for an answer.
I don't even know what.
That did not take long. Yeah, email not hidden in the slightest.
Is my email hit? Anywhere. Good. I have 4. You'll never find the real one.
I have 5 Gmail accounts.
You can email all of them.
I have 2. Okay, I have the one that I sign up everything for, and I have the one that is my, the name on my, I wanted to say passport, on my ID card. It's my legal name.
I
started
have
actually having... Sorry, go ahead.
spam, personal, professional, academic, streamer. So I have 5 different accounts. And they don't touch. They do not touch.
I'm only really active in one other Discord server, and it's actually that Discord server that made me comfortable being active in this Discord server. Because up until about a year ago, I was very, let's just say security conscious.
Sure, yeah.
Definitely not absolutely paranoid about everybody online. Oh no, like sorry, I am mischaracterizing myself in the other direction there. I have friends that were very active online, and I was always kind of like, you're talking to strangers on the internet, right? Didn't you learn about this as a child? Like the one thing you're not supposed to do. But then anyway, I ended up getting invited to this. I'm not even going to explain the server or the history because it doesn't matter to the story. It's fascinating, but it doesn't matter. I was invited to the server, and while on the server, I helped someone with their CV, and this other person recently finished their a paper for their masters. They had gotten a perfect score, and they basically were like, "Hey, take a look at this," and they posted this paper which had, their name, their phone number, their email, their lecturer's name, their lecturer's email, their lecturer's phone number.
Yeah.
And I was looking at this, and I was just kind of like, hey, you should delete that, and then maybe we should have a chat about information security. I can show you how to do this in a way that doesn't automatically dox you, because you don't know everyone on this server. And actually, what I used to show them was the CV that I had sent to another person, which was my actual CV. But I had gone through it and I had scrubbed everything identifiable out of it. Yep. So it was still useful as a reference, but if you actually managed to figure out who I was from it, well, you obviously had to have more information because there's no way you could do it. Or at least I'd be very impressed.
I did the same when I shared a section of my we don't call them CVs here, but my CV in off topic. Oh God, earlier this month. Last month, talking about how to, early on in your career, how to buff that up and fill out that resume with other things. And I posted a similar example you could draw from my own and redacted some pretty key parts of it.
Yeah, I saw. I was actually considering posting my own response to that, but I thought, I'm not involved in this conversation. Let's not insert myself.
Wait, your last name isn't Codex?
Shit. Fuck.
I thought it was Andrian.
Oh.
Adrian! Yeah. I know it's Adrian.
What do you guys call CVs?
Resumes.
Oh, right.
Use the French word.
Yeah, in Germany, we use Lebenslauf. Which literally
why
means,
wouldn't you?
Which literally means the way of life.
Fuck that. That is so depressing.
Or like life path, something like that.
If my work history is my life path, that is so reductive. That is gross. Hate that.
I will say I actually really like the idea. Not because not because it's your entire life, but kinda.
and from what I've seen compared to like some in the US and in other places, a lot of Germans write their hobbies in their resumes in much more detail than compared to US. In much more detail. They talk about what they're fishing and how well they're doing their paintings, and I've seen people put in references of their paintings in random white collar or doing a desk job, and they show that they can paint.
We want bullet points with statistics, no pronouns. We just want how profitable you are as an asset in the United States. Anything outside of that is detrimental to you actually getting a callback or hired.
Really?
What are you talking about? With a resume?
With a resume.
Oh, God, I gave bad advice to this person in America. But they did get the job, so I assume it's okay.
It depends on the position.
It is. That does not sound like the advice I got.
You should describe it positively, your position, but if you're not putting in deliverables and actual statistics, if it's not clear, concise bullet points, they aren't reading your resume in the US. There are very clear demonstrations of this. They read about the first 5 to 7 words on every line, scanning down the left-hand side of the page is generally what they look at. They look at the job title, the location, the first sentence, maybe, and that's it.
It's become like
You also
fashionable.
require a cover letter too.
Mini
which
cover
they-
letter within the CV.
I hate.
Usually they
cover
also
letters
require a cover letter.
so
I
much.
know.
Also, I looked it up, and CV means the same thing as the German. It's like Latin for the course of a
Curriculum.
life.
Yeah,
Oh.
curriculum vitae.
I think the French word is
Oh.
literally the resume is just like the etymology is French and it pretty much just means like summary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, cover letters are annoying because with cover letters they're expected to be personal, whatever job you're applying for. I've written them. I've written cover letters. I don't like them.
The idea that I should do labor for you that's unpaid? No, fuck off.
Oh yeah.
Usually cover letters are pretty much tell us why you should have, aside from just like your qualifications and your resume. Is there anything else you want to tell us? It's usually what it goes for. Like, tell us why you're really interested in this job to see if you actually give a crap about this job.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually the reason.
Yeah.
That's precisely why I currently love them. So I'm actually currently applying for jobs, and I'm trying to jump up and across a fair bit. I want to get into one of two fields that I am resolutely not qualified for, at least not on paper. But I could absolutely do. I have done in my current job. It's just really difficult to talk about because of NDAs. So instead, I'm writing a cover letter, and it's basically just kind of like, let me tell you why. Also, just in general, writing letters to people about things has worked out very well for me in life. Like, I was sick in college for a year, and I, as a result, got automatically passing marks in an awful lot of exams, which meant I had a very poor GPA for going into the next year, which meant I couldn't do a particular module I wanted. And I basically just wrote to the lecturer who did the module, and it was just kind of like, please. It was better than that, obviously. That was the gist of it, though, or at least from my side. And it worked. In general, talking my way into pieces, sorry. Easy and fun.
Is it 4 hours yet? Can I stop? Oh, 3 hours.
It's 3 hours. You have 1 more hour until.
I'm running out of steam. I'm staring down the barrel of all these fucking people names. I'm like, I don't want to do that yet. I don't really want to do that right now.
Wait, you don't just, you just take your big marker and cross out every name?
I could.
No, I think I'm a bad influence for you.
No, I mean, Mark does it.
I mean, that's true. I mean, you shouldn't have to be better than Mark, right?
No, but I like creating standards and criteria so that people, when they ask why, I can give them a fucking answer.
Just say bad vibes.
Bad vibes.
Yeah, that's how it works.
My girlie and I saw you from across the bar, and bro, we fucking hate your vibes. Get the hell out of here. Bro, get out.
That would be, honestly, if somebody told me that at a bar, I would cry on the spot. I would cry if there were random people. I would try.
I don't know if this would qualify as reason for rejection, but if you want to reject the name Burke, at the moment the name Burke is getting an awful lot of negative coverage in Ireland. So, yeah.
Is it on this bounty? Is it on the UK bounty? What word? What name?
It was on whatever list you were on when I saw the name Burke.
Okay.
So
can't be that important.
Can't you control output?
Can you tell us why it's bad?
Sure. There was this guy who was a teacher in a school who got in a confrontation with.
Oh, he's a cop. No, it doesn't matter. ACAB, baby.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So basically, the Burkes are a very religious family in Ireland, and one of their kids, a teacher, got in a fight with their school principal about refusing to accept a student's pronouns and has been trying to make it into this whole political thing. And they're basically in and out of prison because they keep standing outside the school, even though they've been.
I heard about that.
Deserved.
Yeah. A fun fact. I knew because there's a lot of kids. I knew one of those kids. very tangentially through college debating, because of course they were all involved in college debating. Every weird person in the country is.
Okay. Well, Burke on its own wasn't even a good name because it's, as Alex has said, some guy.
He was a cop.
Some cop.
Or the cop. Or the cop.
Look,
and
I'm not gonna lie to you. If somebody's Wikipedia article, it is so important that they were a police officer. Nah. They are not
just in
deserving
general,
of a fucking star.
Just in general, if that's like the first thing there, then they probably didn't do much else of significance to warrant a star name.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, a tracker for the police, and then became a fugitive.
Yeah, but it's interesting because he also led a campaign against the police and settlers. So a complicated figure here.
Yeah, a complicated figure in history? What are you talking about, Alex?
Those don't
Everyone is black and white, good or bad. It's that simple.
No,
It's
there are other
interesting.
races.
It's interesting. So I like him, but I think he's a terrible name for a star. Cool guy, wouldn't name a star after him.
Oh, that's. I always think of the T when I read that name.
Rutherford?
No, Nelson.
Nelson. Why the hell with Nelson? Why are you reading Nelson?
Wait, I think it's back on the wiki page.
Wikipedia. The wiki.
Yeah, I think it's one of his names. I think it's like his middle name.
His last name
Oh,
is Nelson.
Rutherford of Nelson. I'm like, I.
Nelson
name,
is on the list.
Career.
For the UK.
Yeah.
Of course.
Wait, I cut him from the UK and I moved him over here.
He's in the UK list.
That's a
Oh, that's
different.
the
That
original
is
Nelson.
that Nelson. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be surprised if he wasn't on the list.
Yeah, Rutherford. I moved over to the Australasia. I moved a few from the UK over to Australasia. You're like, well, they were British until they became New Zealander. Okay, all right, yeah. Shut up.
Wow.
Question is, would Rutherford would people immediately know who that is if you put
No.
Rutherford?
Oh, right. Fuck. We have to run the fun test.
I feel like it's
Would
going to give you
Americans know who-
Rutherford.
Hey, he's the first result. All right,
Oh.
you can stay. Parks. Hey, if you submit a person, do this. Absolutely do what I'm doing. Google the name. Just Google the name, no other context. If they show up in the results, it's a good name. If somebody else is one of the first ones to show up, like Deacon here, probably not great. But he was the second prime minister, so maybe. Is it,
I thought that said labor, and I was so confused for a second.
it's an Irish
There are-
surname?
Yeah, in terms of names for people, or for people, whether or not a person is good to be like associated to a nation or a nation that if they were part of it. Fuck it, I'm fucking this up. Let me start again. Sorry, I was trying to.
No, you're good. You're good.
friends,
You're
but I
good.
watch all of Gundam Seed, and I've got that on in the background, and it's
Nice.
just. I mean, actually, to be fair, for role-playing a fascist character, useful.
It's a little mind footing, though. I get it.
Yeah. Anyway, pause now. In terms of people and names and what country they should be associated with if they were part of different countries at different points in their lives, I assume the standard is what the person themselves would have considered themselves as, rather than what we would consider themselves as. Like, I mean, the example I actually come back. The example I know well is George Boole. So he would be. You know, a lot of people would be like, "Oh yeah, absolutely, Irish scientist." Possibly true. Definitely worked for an Irish university. Very much considered himself English all his life. So, kind of weird to insist that he's English or Irish.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get why we do. Did a lot of very important things historically, but like, I don't know. I not on my CV, which I posted, but I did tours of my university one year. I basically did the training to give tours to guests, and this was one of the things we learned about him. It's like, if people bring up the fact that he considered himself English, ignore that. And listening to it, as a 18-year-old, I was just kind of like, wait, what? That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I mean, it's complicated when we're looking at figures in Dawn of Victory. If it's unclear what nation they would belong to, they're probably not a good name candidate.
That's fair.
Right? If it's not initially clear, unless we're talking about the USA PSA divide when it comes to like fucking MacArthur, some of us, me, say that MacArthur in no world would be a part of the PSA. He loved his home in the Midwest and wouldn't have left.
Unionist.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a staunch Unionist and a Wisconsinite, so having his name be associated with the Pacific States, where he didn't live and would have been a split off from the United States,
Orm,
which he
you
would
have
have
strong
opposed.
feelings about this. Have you posted about this in OTO before?
What, MacArthur?
Yeah.
I think here's the thing. The thing I remember when it comes to MacArthur, I don't know if I've talked about it in OTO, but one of the reasons why I know about this particular thing and why it annoys me, you know, Hearts of Iron.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god.
The part of one of the things about the paths that Paradox added for the fascist path for the United States is that you have MacArthur leading the Confederate States, which doesn't make any sense. He was a Yankee. His father was a Yankee, and for all his faults, MacArthur was loyal to the United States. It makes no sense why they would write him as the leader of a, like, he was a conservative, but I don't think he was like a hardcore
not to hate on Paradox, which I love to do on my own time, but again, as a representative of this organization, I'm not going to do on, company time.
No, it's
I would point to the video I shared in Off Topic last week or earlier this week. Last week. That was a video essay on the poor historiography used in Paradox games. Yeah, he's great. Rosenkreutz is really good. Kreutz?
Actually, it's Rosenkreutz.
It's Kreutz, right? It's a German name he's referencing.
I've only seen that video you linked, but I really liked it.
Check the dude
did
out.
a great job.
Great
Honestly,
stuff.
MacArthur as a Confederate leader just feels like the Paradox team were on like Kaiserreich brain rot. I won't lie.
Well, not even that, because in Kaiserreich he doesn't lead. He leads the U.S. in Kaiserreich.
Yeah, I know, but
That's like the defining thing about him.
No, it's Kaiserreich brain rot, and Mark bringing it up in stream like, I still think the PSA, what we used to have was MacArthur being in charge, and there was this whole thing, and he described it. I'm like, I hate this
Here's
so
the thing,
much.
here's the thing. MacArthur being in charge of what would become the Pacific States makes sense. He was stationed in the Philippines. If he were to be recalled, he would be in California during the Shinfaxi stuff.
Well,
if he's leading
in 44, why would he be in the Philippines in 44 if the Philippines were being evacuated and it wasn't a military operation to stand off against Japan? Like, it doesn't make sense that he's there in the fucking first place.
I could see him as a, like, governing, like, the military government, if he's, like, stationed in California for some one reason or another.
Yeah.
I can see that. But as a name, why would the PSA choose him as a name? Even according to classic lore, he was overthrown.
Yeah.
Would he not be closer to then the Benedict Arnold of the PSA?
Maybe not really, but like Benedict Arnold, the thing with Benedict Arnold, he never led the United States first off. He wasn't overthrown. He was just a traitor. MacArthur would have just been seen by the PSA as like a dictator. If I remember the classic lore correctly, he was seen as kind of a dictator because he was leading a military government of the Pacific States. But like just in general, the idea of MacArthur being an important figure for the PSA doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like I said, he was a Wisconsinite. He was a Yankee. He was very pro-US. He was a unionist. He would have wholeheartedly rejected the idea of the Pacific states splitting off from the US, even if it was like both sides were like, yeah, you know, we are kind of split apart communication-wise, it just makes sense that you guys get to do your own thing, like if it was some kind of amicable agreement. Even if that were the case, and it wasn't like a armed rebellion, Confederacy style, he would have still been very upset about it.
Yeah.
That's just the kind of person he was.
So I encourage you to post an OTO about it, because again, Mark and I read everything, and me bristling about how I don't like a thing, that's fine, we do things I don't like all the time. People making well-argued points as to why it doesn't make sense, or why it doesn't resonate with them, or how it's immersion breaking, or, you know, feels like a misstep. More though, look, I don't want people going in and bitching constantly about stuff they don't like. Say it once and then, you know, continue the conversation as necessary. Don't post every day for 2 weeks about how we're gonna kill the RP by taking your guns away, right? You know, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
But,
I feel, have I talked about it in OTL? Hold on.
nope, I
Let me see.
looked up MacArthur, and you didn't name him by name. You might have participated in the conversation, but...
Right, I'll go to sleep now. I have
Wait, I
to
think I did. Hold on.
Have a good
actually probably work
day?
tomorrow.
Hell yeah, Nami.
What?
Hope
Oh.
it goes well.
Oh, it
Sorry.
will go well. I'm just working for my grandparents.
Oh, hell yeah.
Alex, it
This
was brought up.
Oh,
It was
okay.
brought up.
Alright.
It was very brief, but somebody said that there better be. I think they said there better be a Pacific, because it says that their thing is edited.
Mhm.
So what they said is there better be a Pacifican colony named MacArthur, and I was like, MacArthur was a Wisconsinite though, and then they changed it to be an American colony. Now an American colony named MacArthur
Cringe.
could see happening, maybe. He was
Cringe.
pretty well liked at the time, but
It-
like he was a war hero at the time. But the question, would his prestige last into the 23rd century? Well, actually, when would the colonies have been established? 22nd century or 23rd? Because the evacuation started in 2169. So that'd be 22nd century, I guess, when they're deciding their names for these colonies.
No, like
Point
immediately.
is,
Like immediately.
Point is,
Yeah.
MacArthur as a Pacifican name makes zero sense. Because he wasn't from the Pacific States. MacArthur as a American colony name? It makes more sense. I don't know if it's a great name, but it certainly makes more sense. I have him as a Pacific States name. So, you know.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm really
American
glad
history.
that we didn't go with MacArthur for the United States. I hope we don't use him for the Pacific States. I think it's way too World War II. I think it's way too Kaiserreich. I think it's way too low effort.
There is, I know, like, it's very Kaiserreichy to elevate MacArthur to a high position.
Yeah.
But I will say, for the time, he was a very popular person in the United States. During the evacuation from the Philippines, or in the fall of the Philippines, after he fucking botched the defense of it, by the way, by forgetting to bring supplies from Manila to the Bataan Peninsula like he was supposed to. That was part of Plan Orange. Roosevelt, like MacArthur, I think Roosevelt called MacArthur. He was like, "Hey, MacArthur, you're literally like, we just got hammered, okay, at Pearl Harbor by the Japanese. You can't die. We can't lose you. Morale is gonna plummet. You need to come back to the U.S. now." And MacArthur was like, "Look, okay, I fucked up. I want to sit here and I want to die with my men." And Roosevelt was like, "No, as Commander-in-Chief, I am ordering you to flee the Philippines and go to Australia right now." So yeah. Like, just the point of that is that MacArthur was a really, really popular figure in the United States at the time. Would his prestige carry into... Because remember, a lot of his prestige didn't come from World War II, it came from World War I, is where MacArthur got a lot of his popularity in the United States. has merit to it for the time being, but would it carry on into the 23rd century entirely depends on what he does during the Shinfaxi
We
War.
don't have Grant
I know.
with the star. If Ulysses S. Grant doesn't get a star, generals aren't getting stars. You know what? That's a great thing. Great idea, Alex. See this general? Nope. Anything else about World War One? We already have World War One references. World War.
I'll forever be upset about Ulysses not being there. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Hughes gone. Birdwood gone. Oh no, Birdwood gone. Hughes can stay. Really? I thought there were more of these. No, other people referred to motherfucker. What's the word I want? I forget the word I want. Word I want. Word I want. I'm staring. Gallipoli. Gallipoli.
Oh, yeah. I think I put that in.
Nah, Gallipoli can stay, but then there were like people who fought in Gallipoli. I'm like, I don't give a shit about them. Like that, they are nowhere near significant enough to a national identity. I don't care if they're war heroes.
Oh, I think somebody. Okay, I think somebody. Because I was asking about name ideas from an Australian and a New Zealander, and they suggested Gallipoli as a name because even though they lost, I didn't know this. Apparently, people make pilgrimage to Gallipoli.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
It's a big thing for the Anzacs. It's a big thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So,
it's where a big part of like national identity really came to the forefront, and it was good leverage for, hey, fuck you, we're not English, we're our own thing. We have a very clear sense of identity here. This is a crowning moment in a terrible circumstance.
Yeah, even though it was it did create it was a pretty important part of the creation of the Australian and New Zealander national identity.
Oh no, John Curtin wasn't elected yet? Oh,
I
buddy.
know.
Sorry, John. You weren't even the leader of the Labor Party? Buddy, what were you doing prior to 1945? Can I justify this somehow?
Let's see.
No, you were just a representative. Curtin, would I keep Roosevelt in? Yeah.
I mean,
well, granted, Roosevelt was elected before.
Yeah.
POD, and also
Yeah.
the name can play on his cousin.
Yeah.
people can go on to do things after the point of divergence.
Well,
but it's
yes,
it's a
but
hard and
it's-
fast rule to keep people from John Curtin. Fuck. I like John Curtin.
I do too.
That's, maybe I'll just act like I got that one wrong. Maybe I'll just act like I misread that one.
I
And
was
maybe
gonna
we let
suggest
that
that.
slip through.
Oh, whoopsie! Looks like I accidentally left it in.
I don't do that for my own. I'm very strict on my own, but when it comes to other people's stuff, oh yeah, all the fucking time. I am more generous with other people's ideas that I like. I can't.
Also,
I don't
Cook.
want James Cook. Get Cook out of here. He. Can
That's
be
a
in the
DOV
UK.
classic one.
That's okay. DOV Classic made a lot of mistakes.
But also, I'm pretty sure Cook is already on the map.
Forgive my
I
ignorance,
think
don't
it's
know.
I feel like I remember seeing them. They're one of the explorers that was picked.
They were one of the explorers. You'll note they are no longer in the Calypso teams.
Well,
And did I purge a bunch of explorers that people were excited about that didn't read about the backgrounds of those explorers? Yes. Yes, I did. Am I sorry? No. Not at all.
What did he do?
I don't remember.
He fought a lot of people.
Yeah, Cook was kind of a monster, right?
I mean, he definitely died fighting, I think, some indigenous Filipino people, if I'm
Not
remembering
fighting.
right.
He died trying to kidnap them.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's worse.
Yeah, he was killed attempting to take hostage the chief of an island of Hawaii during a dispute. A dispute where he showed up, demanded food, and wasn't given supplies to his satisfaction. A dispute is a very polite way to describe this guy. Rest in piss, fuck James Cook. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Is he famous? Sure. Yep. But we don't have to name things after dead famous white guys just because they're famous now. We have hundreds of years of history to replace them with more interesting people, or go hundreds or thousands of years back to pull indigenous people. You'll know I haven't said anything. Coupe didn't have to go through this. Ooh, let me read about that. I saw Coupe. I'm like, oh, Coupe the Navigator? Fuck yeah, we're naming something after Coupe. That rocks. And like, Maui? Yeah, give me all these Polynesian figures and Maori figures. Yep, no problem, no problem. But as soon as we start getting into colonizers, I'm like, ah, fuck, now I have to pay attention. Barton's also pretty good. I like Barton and I like Curtin. I really wish we had an Aussie on the map team that I can be like. Well, here's my favorites. Do any of these stand out? Is this a good read? Is this a bad read?
This to someone I know who's Australian and who's into Australian history.
Nah, I need to know and trust them. It's not a general audience question. It's like a NAMI grade question. I would need to actually know them. I have an Argentinian consult. I have a German consult. I have a Portuguese consult. I have Canadians, obviously, that I can talk to. But when it gets outside of that, I really wish we had just a pool of vetted experts that we could talk to. That'd be real fucking cool. Is Osman named after a problematic dude, though? Why was it called Glenn Osmond? You know what? Because I'm not sure? No.
Jokes aside, Glenn Osmond could very easily be a person's name. Like, first and second.
Yeah. It's reads as a person name. Oh god. That is interesting. Oh, yep. I've reached a point where I don't want to do this anymore. But we have half an hour left. I can power through this. It just means I'm going to be more critical. But we're down to people, so I should be critical. Mythical, Outback Station. I don't understand the context. I don't think it's that interesting.
Is anybody here going to judge you for signing off half an hour early, honestly?
It's more I want to get this done thing than oh god, I gotta put in my time. Pass on Speedwell. Not crazy about it. Australian Prime Minister, sure. Interlocutor and translator, that's unfortunately not significant enough. King of Fiji, I don't know if Fiji is even here. So maybe, you know what, he can stay. Scientist, father of nuclear physics, sure. Father of the Federation, sure. Escaped convict, successful businesswoman, community leader in Sydney, cool, but no. Parks, father of the Federation. I think Parks is better than the speech that he gave. Well, no. Parks, but not the speech that he gave. Deacon. For the second Prime Minister, sure. Leader of the Eureka Rebellion, sure. Lawson. Bush poet. Nah. Might be good, Lawson. Well, no, I can see a use case for that as an independent system near Australasian system, so that can stay. Spence, feminist, politician, grand old woman of Australia. We need at least some women in here, also a female poet, you can stay. First Prime Minister, you can stay. Drafter of the Declaration of Independence, sure, why not? Curtin, you stay. Fisher, Prime Minister, stay. Lawrence, Hargrave, inventor, astronomer, invented box kites, curved aerofoils, and the rotary engine. I gotta say, Hargrave, that's cool and all, dog. Not related to space, not related to a huge national identity. I don't think it stretches enough. Hughes, Prime Minister during World War I. Sure, Treaty of Waitangi, considered the founding document for how New Zealand was drastically affected by colonists treated the native Maori. In a good way or in a bad way? The treaty. Okay, yeah, good name for it in Maori. The treaty.
Signed in 1840. That
Probably not great. Granted self-government to the colony, requiring Maori to pass an English language test to be able to participate in new government.
Yikes.
Uh-huh.
That's an oof there.
Yeah, it seems shitty. Maybe not. maybe not. Gonna hit you with no thanks. Rongo Kako, Chief and Priest. Sure. I don't think it gets a highlight, but sure. Expert Explorer Guide to New Zealand Explorer. Interesting, but no. First published Aboriginal author. When published, though? When, though? Died in 1967. 10 applications for inventions. Okay. He's on the $50 note. Okay, well, must be interesting. Works. Manuscript of Legendary Tales of Aboriginal. Oh, no, okay. Fair enough, my man. Chief. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The problematic thing is, I'm seeing 7 Waka, and I have 5? Where are the other Waka? Where are the Waka? Captain of one of the... Oh, okay. But then I still only have 7. I guess, but these are so many. Yeah, sure, whatever. These are all pretty much political... No, let's get explorers out of here. Explorer. You brought them here, so I'd qualify that more as explorers. Chief. Ancestor. Prime Minister. Declaration of Independence. Yeah. Politics. Poet. Get you out of here. Politics. Artist. Alright, bet. Alright, there we go. Some of you survived the purge. A good amount, honestly. That's so many political figures. That's way more than we're gonna need.
The problem really is they're really easy names to like pick up if you're like putting names on the sheet.
Yeah, if you're just using your Google Foo, they do stand out pretty easily.
Or even if like you know like the history of the place, like people names are probably gonna come up quite a bit.
Yeah. Yep. Place names. Yeah. All right. Cool. And then I will end early because we're done with Australasia. That just means I have the France, the UK, the East African Federation, and OTO other to do. Just 4 more, and this took 3 hours. So there's only 250 of these. That might take a few hours. Probably only a couple. The UK I've already been iterating on, and I went through every non-English name at one point, and slowly I've been working through the English ones, cutting stuff. But I think I have time. East Africa, I think I have time. Almost 200. That's not bad. How many of these are Ace of Carbon? Most, right? Only 56?
A little under half.
Wow. That's
I do have more on the way, but you know.
I submitted only like a couple.
Only a third? Only I honestly expected it to be a greater proportion. Did we pull your names over from the independent ballot?
I did. I mean, obviously that doesn't include ones that got rejected. I don't think I missed any.
No, probably not. I'm just like, I can't remember if I did that or if I said, well, we don't know what countries that's gonna be yet, and then didn't do it to save the work.
Yeah, I mean, I did Swahili. I did a few Bantu ones, but I didn't do most of them because you know. But I did like things that were like Kihehe or Nyamwezi as well. So you know.
Oh, these had citations added. Why?
Oh, yeah,
I'm so used to putting. Oh, okay. I'm so used to people not having citations and me calling it out and them never doing it. Yeah, fuck it. We can wrap this up. USA, probably we're wrapping those up. Shai Halud, we need a better name for, and I haven't been pushing this. I will go make a fucking post right now. As a reminder, one of the big star naming bounties right now is the Atlantean Gate / Shy Halud bounty. Be sure to get your ideas in. Copy, paste. Copy, paste. Are we sticking with the Atlantean Gate? I think it's very likely. But you never know. And then we also need to really rename the fucking channel. But I think we need to do the British side of that to make it make sense. And look, if it's the channel, whatever.
At this point, will that type of connection ever be known as anything other than the channel?
No,
yes,
please,
because
for the channel, and it's a problem.
We can't call it the channel. We can't.
I think it's the slipstream.
Yes,
is what it's called.
Slipstream is so much better.
I didn't say that connection or any specific connection. I meant that type of incredibly long connection.
Oh, it's a channel type string.
Yeah.
I hate
Not,
that.
maybe not even officially, but just kind of like on the forum, I guess. I honestly can't. I can't see it changing.
Like if there's like an Axis channel or whatever. Yeah, I kind of like
Kerbal
it.
is in the call. You're torturing the poor man.
What in the fuck did I join back in on? The same damn thing it's been this whole time. Me wrapping up. Hey Kerbal, you have any question? You wasn't paying attention? What, you don't enjoy watching me for 3.5 hours going in and rejecting names? This isn't thrilling content to you, Kerbal? You like doing more interesting things, touring a fucking NASA facility today, having a great time? You don't want to listen to people talk about pedantic differences between words? Look at this motherfucker. It's the audacity of this guy.
What a nerd.
Yeah.
Actually being successful.
I don't know when I'm going to get to the rest of these. Probably not tomorrow. Maybe I'll whittle away at it over the week. It is nice to have so many folks in here today who have popped in and out. We have had some good conversations. We've had some not good conversations, but hey, that's what you get when you have the VC open, and some people just have terrible takes and no good sense. But hey, those problems solve themselves before too long. Any last minute questions before I GTFO?
I have one, but it's more of an RP question.
Yeah, go girly. What is it?
There's a lot of people here.
What's the question?
Spell it. Come on. Hurry up. You just roboted.
There is a robot reaction, I forgot.
I've been using it.
Are you
every
just
time
using
it's
it
happened
every
tonight, just to be
That's so funny.
No, it's not meant to be funny. She said
This
she
feels
couldn't
like
figure out when
bullying.
it was happening. So I wanted to give her an indication that, hey, this has happened.
Oh.
But yes, absolutely. Bullying.
Kerbal,
right,
you shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I have a question. When map stream?
Motherfucker, I will end you. I will find you.
Guys, one next DOV video, guys.
Well, why has it been so long? I'm getting so impatient. I'm entitled to this free entertainment. When's the next one gonna be?
Yeah, definitely not my fault, guys.
Dark streams
Um,
precisely no sooner, no later.
Don't worry, guys. That's definitely not on me.
What was the RP question?
Oh,
yeah.
just I don't know, getting people to interact.
Having scenes that people might get something out of, like a key part to having a bar, for example, is that is a place people would gather. If you give an opportunity for an in character, like aren't you the OTO?
She's the rep.
Schmiggity schmood. You're the rep, right?
Oh wait, no, I think that's
No.
Dink. I don't know.
Dink won it.
Rip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What was
I know,
funny
yeah,
is
well,
condolences.
my favorite, one of the funniest parts from that was an OOC discussion, and I quote, "Hey, it looks like my vote was the deciding one. What are we voting for again?"
Yeah.
That gave me a hearty chuckle.
Couldn't be my faction. My faction sorted that out very well. But how to get people to engage? Yeah, present opportunities or moments of drama that aren't over the top. Like,
you should have a stroke.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay, it's gonna be weird.
Someone
I have
an
a
alien infection on board.
I have a question, specifically like with regards to a character trait, but I don't know how to ask it in a voice call. Can I like?
Yeah, you can ask in out of character discussion. You can DM mod mail for a private DM with the mods, right? Like that. You do not have to ask it in the call right now in front of a general audience. No. This is not your one and only opportunity.
I feel like I could word it better and less anxiously.
Any other questions?
Just to add to potentially answer that, looking at your character, it says that you are an architect who's recently finished retrofitting all the quarters. So you could potentially solicit feedback. You could potentially be wandering around the station and see problems. Maybe you don't like something about the entrance to Edelweiss, which I described, that's not compliant in some way. Maybe you go down to Roots and you say that there's an issue with having a glass facade facing into the aquaponics bay.
Well, actually, yeah, because my character, she's the architect, but I kind of just make her also be like a mechanic at the same time, even though those are two different roles.
Armor. My barracks are moldy.
I mean, if you want to like, I think I said it somewhere that like you can literally just contact her office, and by her office, it's just her apartment. She works out of her own apartment.
Oh my god.
If you want to like send a call to her, then she'll come down and just look at whatever the issue. A call to her.
A ring-a-ding-ding.
And just be like, hey, there's something wrong with this. Then she would go down and look at it, and figure out what's wrong. Yeah.
I know what's wrong with it. I got no
gas in it. Yeah. All right. I
want to say something before this ends. Like, at least for the RP, the spear isn't getting anything, at least. So I don't really have anything to RP with the spear faction.
I think
it's what you bring to the table. Yeah.
I know that's the case, but like my character is like kind of the opposite of like a team player, especially for like the spear. So I don't know how to do it. Like how to make a character also kind of dislike.
Start causing problems for him. You know.
Start problem maybe. Okay, I want to ask like maybe like I thought about maybe making something for the spear because like I don't know. I wanted to do something with the spear.
Max, this is gonna have an interesting time.
Gotta get
should have worried or
all the
enthusiastic
faction
about
leaders together to kick the Axis off the station and just remove the faction entirely.
Oh dear.
But that's a risk you run if you don't have a faction leader. Like the sphere's in hot water right now with not having representation. That is scary territory to be in.
Yeah, there's nobody out, out there, representing the sphere in the station.
Guys,
But
start taxing them now.
here's something.
Yep.
Like, okay, so like with Julia, she's Oto, she likes the US, but she also cares about everybody on the station. So if you want to reach out to her about something that, because the sphere is like, maybe under, what's the word? Like maybe their problems get ignored,
You know who's been very vocal about being a representative for everybody? Not the Oto rep.
Oh. However,
Just saying.
it's not my problem. I don't have the time. I don't have enough time in the day.
I see. Well, that's interesting idea, but like, I kind of figure I need to figure out a way, for in character to make my character, just be enough to actually, try to change it, to move it along, then rather than I was actually thinking about making the character independent rather than spear line, so
You,
No,
I mean,
you can
couldn't
move
you
them over.
technically? I mean, technically, didn't we say you could theoretically, if nobody else is doing it, declare yourself the representative of your faction?
Yes.
Maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel like that was a thing.
Look.
I feel that's a bit, narcissistic, like a bit too, I don't know.
Okay, just gonna tell you what happened to Needleless. No one had posted anything. The elections were going to end in less than 12 hours. There were no candidates. There were no votes.
Okay.
There wasn't even a
All right.
poll.
Twitch, YouTube.
So I basically posted a
This
single
isn't
line
gonna
that said,
this
"I
isn't
will
gonna wrap up
represent the
quickly.
Axis. Details
This
to follow."
isn't gonna wrap up succinctly.
Within half an hour, there
I'm
was another
tired,
candidate.
so I'm
We
going
ended up
to
having an actual
wrap this shit up.
in character and out of character discussion about how
And I will
run the
make
sphere.
my way
We
out
had
of
a
this
genuine,
conversation.
but
I don't want to
election.
carry this
And,
on for the
eventually we
content
decided I would
because
do
it's
it.
at almost 4 hours, and
Yeah.
I don't think you're
I
sitting
guess
here
what people are saying,
interested
you got to kind
in
of take that step. And I mean, if you think your
listening
character isn't necessarily
into
well suited
a
and you do
Discord
want to do
call
it,
that hey, you
just
can be a
redesign
part
your
of.
character.
You can be a part
My
of.
character wasn't originally designed to do it either.
Hop on the Dawn of Victory
Okay,
Discord server.
And
But
see,
I'm getting the fuck out of
I
here.
just haven't seen what
Until
the other faction
later.
is doing, so and what's going on.
Until later, whenever that happens to be, I'm gonna say toodaloo. Take care. I will see you then. Bye bye.